All right, 3 o'clock on this Friday afternoon, a football Friday, and the first day of November, cruising right along. Welcome aboard the Postgame show alongside Elijah Campbell. I'm Jay Phillips. We are broadcasting live, as we do every home football Friday, from Columbia Craft in the Sista, as Elijah has said. The South Vista, that's what Langston and I have named it. Langston will be along in just a few minutes' time. But if you don't know where we are, we're at the let's see. It's Pulaski and Green and UG Street. Big beer place.
Can't miss it.
Yeah, come say hey.
A lot of cars here.
Yeah.
There's going to be some folks here.
A lot of cars, a lot of beer. Even some folks from the opposing side this weekend have decided to come in here, which is good. So y'all come outnumber them real quick if you're a Carolina fan.
That's right.
We will have some tickets to give away a little bit later on. We will be playing the Wild Card Showdown a little bit later on. Chance to win one of our 1075 The Game craft beer passports, and Elijah Campbell will be paying off the bet in just a little bit. How you doing?
Not nervous.
No.
I hear they're being deep fried.
Is that I think that's the case.
That's the word on the street.
Okay.
We won't be able to confirm it until the plate is here.
I honestly don't know yet. But
that's the rumor.
Don't be nervous. You're good.
I'm just going to pretend like I don't know what they are.
Well, if you just keep saying Rocky Mountain oysters to yourself and believe that there are indeed oysters in the Rocky Mountains, then you're in good shape.
Stranger things have happened.
Have they? No. Again, I've had these. It's been like
when you had them, how were they prepared?
They were not deep fried. They were kind of like I guess slow cooked and in like a gravy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But my mom made them. She got them one time. Again, my mom was in the food business for a long time. My mom would occasionally have something adventurous to
try.
She was pretty traditional otherwise, but every once in a while she's like, yeah, why not? So she tried it, and I was like, all right, But if you don't,
it'll be a fun bit.
If you don't know,
I'm not scared.
Let me catch you up on what is going on here. A couple of weeks ago, I guess now like 2 weeks ago, Elijah and my two favorite NFL teams, his New Orleans Saints, my Denver Broncos, played one another in the Dome in New Orleans, and it was a Thursday night game. And that Monday, we came on and we just said like, hey, why don't we just do something? So we're talking about it on the air too, like, because I'm not big on a lot of goofy wagers and stuff. If you're into that, that's cool. I know Gunner has some fun with that. I was not like in the mood to have Elijah and or me, win or lose, like go have to walk around the block at our radio station in like a clown suit, or, have some kind of sandwich board sign that says I'm a loser. I'm not into all that. So we were like, we'll figure something out. And that was kind of how we left it in that conversation. And so the next morning, our good friend Will King, our former colleague here at the radio station, a fellow Saints fan,
yes,
which I do want to make abundantly clear, called me that morning and said, hey, I've got the bet for you and Elijah. I was like, all right, let's hear it. And he said, if the Saints win, you, Jay, will have to eat a plate full of really spicy crawdads, Cajun style, but like really spicy. I'm like, okay. And if the Broncos win, Elijah will eat a plate full, whatever that may mean. We're about
to find out.
We're going to
learn what a plate full.
We may not hold Elijah to a plate full.
I'm going to do it. I was raised.
But
on the plate.
A plate full.
We're going to do it
of Rocky Mountain oysters. And if you don't know what Rocky Mountain oysters are, I will tell you what they aren't. They aren't oysters. They come from a bull.
They're testicles.
That becomes a steer. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And
I'll put it plainly.
We actually had a guy call us. Was he from Newberry County, Lawrence County?
Lawrence County, I think. I think he might be
up that way. Newberry, Greenwood, Lawrence. I can't remember now. Forgive me, sir. But thank you for calling a couple of weeks ago and saying that his family, I think, had a cattle farm, a beef cattle farm, and that there were folks in the area when they knew it was time for turning bulls to steers that would come by and get some. And they are. It's not
considered a delicacy. Should
Yeah.
I pull up the description on exoticmeatmarkets.com, which I'm sure everybody has gone on this website at least once in their life. Which, if you're curious and you're like, wow, I want to try that. Well, they're for £1. You can get them on this website for $19.99.
Yeah.
They're described Rocky Mountain oysters, also known as cowboy caviar, prairie oysters, swinging sirloin, and calf fries. Rocky Mountain oysters are true delicacies to the American West. When you serve Rocky Mountain oysters at your next gathering, all your guests are guaranteed to have a ball.
So there you go. So, and I want to make it abundantly clear. When I told Elijah what Will had proposed that Tuesday afternoon when I got to the office, at first Elijah was like, "Oh, I like oysters." I'm like, "Hold up. Here's what they actually are." And Elijah, for just a brief second, to full credit to him, was like, "No, okay, well that's good. We'll do that." And I
because at the point too, it's like maybe the Saints have it together. Maybe Bo Nix is just really bad. Maybe that the team hasn't completely lost its pulse yet. And
but
there's a chance that I wouldn't have to do it in general, right? There's still a chance this could be avoided.
Yeah.
And I'm never trusting Dennis Allen with anything ever again.
I told you. I just based on how the Broncos have been playing at that point, I really and that the game was in New Orleans. I was like, well, the Broncos aren't going to win, so I'll be eating. And I like crawfish. So I would have been down with that. Now, if they were like so spicy, as I said, that I had to sign a waiver, then we may have had something else to discuss. But to Elijah's full credit, he did not waver. I was like, you don't have to do this, man. Like I
back down from nothing.
We can come up with something else. I assure you. Like if you don't want to do it, we don't have to do it.
Hey, I went to public school, buddy. I don't back down from anything.
And
I've been dared to do worse.
So here we are. And Will said, "Listen, I'm going to take care of all of it." And in the 4:00 hour, Will be along, and away we go.
To see the fruits of his labor.
If you would like to partake in the viewing of this,
streaming it,
or maybe beyond, your choice and your call, then please come down to see us at Columbia
See
Craft.
it in person. You can see it in person at Columbia Craft, and you can get a beer while watching me do the closest thing I've ever done to anything resembling a Fear Factor episode. And if you want to watch on the YouTube stream, we've already got some questions in the comments here. My boy Craig says, "Can we see one, Elijah?" And I had to specify that they have not been delivered yet. I don't even know what they look like. I have zero idea what they look like.
You have an idea.
Well, I know the shape. Yeah. As someone who anatomically shares the part that's being served.
Family show.
Yeah. I have an idea of, how it will look, but you don't know until you see it.
Tyler, are you still with us? Tyler Head of the Tyler Head Sports Experience is running the board for a few minutes for us. Do you have anything you'd like to say to Elijah before this happens next hour? Elijah, he might not be there, or Tyler might not be there.
No.
Or either that he doesn't have anything to say to you.
He probably doesn't have anything to say. I think he's concerned.
Okay. No, he shouldn't be concerned. You're going to be fine.
I'll be fine.
And if you want to have a
little... You know what? I'm scared I might like it.
No, don't be. Why? Don't be scared that you'll like it.
Because then it wouldn't be much of a punishment.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, the spicy crawdads really work. I mean, other than if you and Will had decided to have like
we were going to pull a fast one on you and make it pretty hot. Not hot enough to sign a waiver. Even though that's a very subjective.
Yeah. No, and I like spicy food. Again, I'm kind of like you are with this. I got no problem with spicy food. In my youth, it was a little more enjoyable than it might be today, but it's not about the going in, and I'm just going to leave it at that. So that's the thing. So here we go. But no, I think you're going to be fine.
I'll be fine. I'll be fine. And you know what? Who knows? I might like it.
When are you putting on but you're supposed to put on the jersey. You have to wear it all show, or?
I'll wear it the 4:00 hour. I'll squeeze into it.
Okay.
So I'll have to go in and change. For those watching right now, this is a John Elway.
Yeah, that was jersey. Also part of the bet is that the loser would wear a jersey of the winning team.
So, but at least it's a Broncos jersey, and I don't have anything against the Broncos in terms of my fandoms in sports.
Right.
It would be painful to have to wear a Falcons jersey. I would make an amendment if it was a Michael Vick Falcons jersey. Did love Michael Vick as a child, but it would be.
I don't even think they sell Falcons jerseys, man. So you're fine.
Yeah. So and that I have that going for me.
Yeah.
I have that going for me. Or there's some other teams. I wouldn't like to wear a Cowboys jersey. That would feel icky. I grew up hating the Cowboys.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a Broncos one's fun. It's a nice jersey. It's a very lovely jersey. It's a Mitchell and Ness replica collection. So I mean, that's not the worst part of it. This is doable. This part's very doable.
Well, I'm excited for you, and this is going to be fun.
It's going to be fun. And as whoever is in charge of the social media on our station at 1075 The Game on Twitter and the show tweet did say it's going to be a ball. So we are going to have a ball
once again. But just like the people at the exotic meat market.
That's right.
Yeah, there you go. We'll also talk a lot of Carolina football. Langston's going to join us in just a little bit. We'll get into his thoughts on the game tomorrow night, which really is going to be a lot about each of these teams' defenses. Both teams with really high-level defensive ends, and that's going to be, I think, a real. Yeah, might that be a push, and will other areas be the ones that really affect this one? We'll touch on that with Langston. Not a great weekend of NFL action.
Not really. There's not a matchup that I look at. I'm like, oh, I'd be really excited to see that.
Well, I am. I mean, I know it's my team, but Baltimore and Denver suddenly becomes like maybe the best game of the weekend because they're both 5-3. Denver's defense is excellent. Obviously, Baltimore has Lamar and Derek.
And it's still like a 7.5 point spread.
Yeah, I think it's 9.
It's 9?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think it's good. I think, well, we're playing it. That would, 9.
Woo.
And I might, I love the Broncos, but I may be taking Baltimore to cover that 9. Especially in Baltimore.
Especially after a loss like they had.
Denver is
they didn't just have a loss. They had a bruising loss.
Denver is not a big fan this season of scoring the football.
No, but ironic for a Sean Payton coach team.
But it's not their favorite thing to do, it seems.
No.
They're kind of like the Gamecocks. They can play great defense. But
the defense is what's winning them games.
Scoring is something that they seem allergic to at times.
Yeah.
So whether you choose to be or not. So there's that. But Langston will join us. Jordan Kay on the beat for the State Paper going to join us here at Columbia Craft in the 4. No word yet as to whether or not Jordan will also be writing a feature story on this bet, but it may be included. I don't know. Could be an online feature, perhaps. Not sure. We'll find out about all that for you.
Could be.
And again, in the 5 o'clock hour, we'll have the Wild Card Show now. We got Drive Around the SEC. So a lot of fun stuff to do today. Come grab a beer or two. It's a beautiful day in Columbia. Got 82 degrees, very low humidity. It's a nice day. Come sit outside or come sit inside with us. Come say, hey. Langston Moore on the other side of the break. It is a Football Friday postgame show live from Columbia Craft in the Vista. Welcome back into our Football Friday post-game show live from Columbia Craft in the Vista. Along with Elijah Campbell, I'm Jay Phillips. Jeff Haley is out here today. It's Jeff's turn to make sure we don't burn the place down. But Jeff has a can of Liquid Death water. So if we start a fire, Jeff will just put it right out.
It is death to the fire.
That's right. That's right. Unlike, where were we the other day when you were like, challenge accepted?
At CLA when
yeah.
we made an arson joke, and I was probably a little too cavalier about it.
Just saying.
If anyone took me a little too literally, that is,
Elijah,
it's still on me.
Elijah was not really looking forward to burning down the Colonial Life Arena.
No, or setting fire to anything. I know the comment made me sound like a pyromaniac, but I do truly respect the power of fire.
Have you heard the commercial for Trans-Siberian Orchestra? And it's like, and enough pyro to keep everybody warm. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That sounds miserable, actually, because like enough pyro in an indoor venue gets pretty hot.
Let me tell you, I've seen them a couple times, and you do feel it. I promise
that
you, man.
heat, because you're going in there with like a sweater on, you're dressing for cold weather.
Yeah.
And you don't want to you don't have to shed too much clothes once you're once you're in there.
You do on a few of them. Those of you who have been know what I'm talking about.
And then you start getting you feel it, and then you feel it underneath all those layers you're already wearing, and then you get hotter than usual.
That's right. When we're done tonight, we'll have a little break, and then Elijah and Justin will be coming at you for the Love Chevy High School football scoreboard show. That's tonight at 7 here in the Columbia area. It is always a pleasure to speak to our good friend Langston Moore, the former Gamecock D lineman, team captain, draft pick of the Cincinnati Bengals, longtime NFL veteran, husband, father, barbecue aficionado, softball expert, now an expert on travel to our nation's capital, now that his daughter is a student athlete up that way, and he joins us now. Happy Friday, sir. Happy November. How was trick-or-treating at the Moore household last night?
It was, well, luckily I was at home. I was in the upstate working, Preston Thorne got me doing his book deal. I don't know when that's going to end, but we were up there, perfect time to be in a school. It's always a rambunctious day when we come through, but, we were up there in Chesney and they had school plus Halloween. So you can only imagine what that was going to be like. And as the nice young lady who greeted us when we walked into the school said, I told her, I was like, it's kind of quiet and calm in here for it to be, Halloween. She said it's only 8:30, son. Give it some time. So it was a good one. Had a good little one. Didn't eat too many kids' candy, and then got a chance to see a little bit of the South Carolina State NCCU matchup down in Orangeburg last night. That was pretty good.
Yeah, all right, that is a good deal. All right, well, we've told you about the bet. We'll come back around to that in just a little bit. That Elijah is working on. Yeah, the chuckle alone says all you need to hear. And if you didn't hear the open of the show, don't worry, we'll fill you in accordingly.
Oh, you'll know.
Langston, I'm going to ask you a question about this game tomorrow night here in Columbia that I've asked several people this week. This game, especially with A&M coming off the win they had against LSU, this game is bigger for which of these programs, in your opinion, as we look at the moment right now?
Ooh, which one is it bigger for the program? I guess my homer would say it's bigger for us because we had the opportunity with the bye week to, of course, have a week up health-wise, different deal. We already had a bye week, and we didn't come off of that one relatively well after the Ole Miss game. So, again, you kind of got the advantage with that. Hopefully we can maybe see some different things and take some cues from the LSU Brian Kelly team and be like, at least don't say we didn't expect that other guy to come off the bench and play quarterback. So we had some time to check some of that film out. But, it's been ratcheted up over there for Texas A&M for a long time. And the only reason I wouldn't say it's a full-on, Mike Elko's definitive game, and I know a lot of other folks on the station have been talking about that, this being one of his most important games. But I feel like they've always kind of had this crest. It's like a constant, it's like the tide down in the low country. Oh, it's going to be high. It's going to be Texas A&M, and then it goes back down, and it comes back up next year, and then it's, it rises and it falls into the moon, and it's really high this time. So I don't know if it's just kind of like full moon, Texas A&M. We should really fear these guys because the stats do kind of say we should fear them, but we have a defense. But on the other side, is it one of those deals where the tide is going out and we're going to catch Texas A&M just at the right spot? To be honest with you, I definitely think this is a different type of DNA type of team with a Texas A&M team because Kevin Sumlin, of course, the last guy who was there, a lot of offensive mind, but You look at this team and how they're really built now, and you can really see they've really embodied with some of the talent that's still there. It's not been the high point of talent that's always been at Texas A&M, but they've really embraced Coach Elko's kind of mindset, and you can see it in their blitzing. You can see it in how they're winning football games, and collectively how they've been playing together as a team. It's really exciting to watch. Just as long as they're not coming to play our team, but they are coming to play our team this week, so I'm not too excited about that.
Langston, when I look at this matchup too, there's one thing that I really hate for South Carolina, and that's that Texas A&M runs the ball really well. And when Marcel Reed came into the game in the second half against LSU, the read option was killer. LSU had zero answer for it. That's one he excels really well at that, and I feel like that's the type of team that can take away South Carolina's biggest strength, which is the elite pass rush. You can't rush the passer if there is no passer. So I have like a gut feeling that we are going to see A&M maybe not throw the ball over 15 or 20 times. It's kind of my hypothesis, but when you see a team like A&M who controls the game at the line of scrimmage with their offensive line and runs the ball as well as they do and has a kind of like a kryptonite to a great pass rush by virtue of just not having to drop back and throw it a lot, what does that say to you whenever you look at this matchup as a whole and the impact that might have on the game?
Ding, ding, ding. You hit it right on the head. I think that is the game plan, and the stats would bear those things out because they're leading tops in rushing attempts. They're leading in rushing yards. They got a kid who's almost close to 1,000 yards, around about 700, something like that. So, and then you couple that in with the backup, and then you couple that in with the guy who's just like you said, Marcel Reed, coming off and running the daylights out of the option and the read option and all different iterations of that. That's one thing I don't want to see. Yes, we've made as a team, as a defense, we've made strides, leaps and bounds from being where we were trying to stop the run, which was pretty much the bottom, the basement. We're not in the bottom of the basement anymore, but to my credit, and this is just maybe the old football kind of scary guy in me, we've had the advantage of teams playing towards our strength, meaning we're getting a lead, we're able to unleash this pass rush. Some teams forget, a la Kentucky, forget that they ever ran football, and they try to be a passing team like the basketball team. And so all those things are working to our advantage. I don't know if Texas A&M is going to play that game. They're going to have the patience. I mean, if you got patience to have be down 17-7 at home, now again, it's going to be a different deal because they'll be on the road. And if we have that advantage 17-7 at home, hopefully we can do what we need to do in that pass rush, and everything we've been doing, that's perfect. But I do not think that Coach Elko, coupled with the young quarterback that we have, he's going to blitz us relentlessly. Oh, by the way, they're tops in the league in blitz percentages and takeaways, different things, and giving the football away with that. But also they're going to run the football. And so those are the two scariest things right now, because we haven't really shown an ability to stop the run consistently, especially when teams line up, decide they're going to do it, and decide they're going to do it relentlessly. And that's what the stats bear out about this Texas A&M team. You know, they're going to bang it against that wall, and eventually they're going to try to crack it down and try to hit you with some big plays, coupling that with a mobile quarterback. It just makes me a little bit nervous. But on the other side, we've had a whole bye week to work on this and understanding what we are going to get. So hopefully we're using that to our advantage and having the benefit of being at home. Some of these things can help us, but there's nothing like going on the road and running the football and stopping another team from trying to do what they try to do offensively, which again has been kind of porous for us at times. And that's really playing into the game plan of what Coach Elko wants to do and this Texas A&M team wants to do.
I'm going to come back on the other side, and you just hit on something that I want to touch on next, and that is going on the road and another big part of A&M's game plan. We'll do that and a whole lot more as Langston joins us here on this Football Friday. We're broadcasting live from Columbia Craft in the Vista. Jay Phillips, Elijah Campbell, Terry Ford at Master Control, and again, our good friend Langston Moore on the guest line. You are listening to the Football Friday postgame show. 3:33 on this Friday. Welcome back into the post-game show, our Football Friday edition from Columbia Craft in the Vista, Pulaski, UG, Green. We're about a block or two west of Colonial Life Arena over that nice new...
It's within walking distance. Actually, if you step outside this building, you'll see it.
Yeah, it's right there. Right there.
Hard to miss.
Yep, right over there. We were there the other day, just like you said. In fact, I came this way and then turned up there, and I was like, hey, look, there's Columbia Craft.
Yeah.
Right here, like twice in 3 days. So I kind of like it.
Honestly, this place makes for a great hangout before basketball games.
There were,
Get you some tickets. Come here, have a beer too.
Yeah. My wife and I had already made plans for dinner Wednesday night, so I did not stay for the exhibition. So I came back this way. And yes, to prove your point, there were a lot of people in Gamecock gear up on the rooftop area, enjoying a couple of beverages before walking up.
Perfect.
So there
Perfect
you go.
place for it.
I agree. Langston has he's not here today, but he has been with us here for several shows. We've been doing this for a while now, and he joins us now on the guest line. All right, so you hit on it about A&M coming in here and doing what they want to do and sort of imposing their will in a road environment, Langston. And that takes me to my bigger picture, really big key to this game. My opinion is Texas A&M will want to and should, if they can, take the crowd out of this game as quickly as possible. So I got a couple of things for you on that. Certainly, whether or not you agree with that. But then from your playing days, be it here in the SEC with Coach Holtz or any of your time in the NFL, what do you remember about a coach wanting you guys to be able to go in and do that? How important was it in certain instances for a coach to tell you, go take that home crowd out of it as soon as possible?
Yeah, because that's one of the best things you can have going for you. I think about, the close success minus a little push-off deal up the road there, having some rushing success, especially wanting to do it on the road. Again, there's nothing better than taking your defense, what we already kind of have packed. We pack that up every week. Doesn't matter if it's a home or away game. The stats and everything indicates that. But you really can't count on your offense when you come onto the road. So the best thing you can do is to lean on that offensive line and the running game, and to just try to make this kind of like a boxing match in a phone booth. And hopefully you're trying to test somebody's toughness, see if you can come into their backyard and kind of push them around a little bit on their little basketball court or however it was when you were a little kid, seeing if you could do one of those deals. But outside of that, that was one of the biggest messages for Coach Holtz. Once you start doing that, you don't got to worry about that crowd. You don't have to worry about the crowd in the beginning anyway. And that was one of Coach Holtz's favorite lines. It's like, don't worry. I've already talked to all the security. They will not come on the field. I made sure that nobody will come out of the stands onto the field. There will only be 11 guys on defense and 11 guys on offense. Because a lot of times you can get overwhelmed with that. And I think that's one of the things that Texas A&M does. We've seen it. We've had opportunities being out there, being on the road, Halloween, all types of different situations, different coaches. And it's not the most rambunctious crowd, but it kind of gets you out of sorts. As Lou Holtz used to say, he did a very good job of always making sure that coaching guys up in the preseason about not looking backwards and do it, because there's a lot of stuff that can get to be distracting. And again, if your teammate is looking behind him, you're like, what you looking at? And then somebody else down there, man, what y'all boys down there looking at? And then ain't nobody paying attention to what's really at hand, which is maybe knocking off the number one team. So one, let's use that to our advantage, getting the crowd here. But we have to understand, especially as Gamecock fans, that they're going to try to come in here, run the football. I expect specifically on those first couple plays, either they're going to take a big shot to try to get some chunk yardage and then just try to kill us with the run, or just make their mind up from the jump to come out there, run, maybe a quarterback deal with Marcel, come back out with some screen deals, but not really putting themselves into a situation where they can let number 5, number 6, 0, 91, all the guys who've been getting all the sacks for the past couple weeks, or maybe just the 9 the last time we went out, they're not going to do that. And that would be foolish of them. And that's one thing I know about Coach Elko and his staff. They're football dudes, but they're not dumb. And they're not going to come out there and try to do that. Now, if situations dictate and we stop the run, that's where we can really try to make that. But this is really what this game is going to be about. Earning the right to be who we are on defense, which means stopping the run on first and second down, putting this team in predictable situations, regardless of what the offense is doing, and let our defense and let the crowd, and hopefully we get a little bit of that special teams deal, because we're still waiting for one of those deals to kind of bust out for us to really take over. And then from there, whatever we get from the offense is whatever we get from the offense, and that should be more than enough.
Yeah, Mike Elko went to Penn, right? So I mean,
yeah, like
guy.
a little smart dude,
Ivy
man.
League
Like,
educated.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not just smart, but like Ivy League
Not
smart.
smart and educated.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got the combo of the two. Langston, after I had you on last Friday, I had Clark Brooks from SEC StatCat join me in the 4 o'clock hour. And I asked him, it was South Carolina. He's one of those guys, Langston, that he's got his own website where he breaks down not just the analytics, but offensive tendencies to a T, and he tracks success rates. He's one of those people that's smart enough to keep up with it to where I don't have to, but I can just interpret it. But I asked him when he's breaking like all this down, when South Carolina on offense is looking for an easy button, where can those easy buttons be, right? Because this is an offense that is at the bottom of the SEC in, like negative yards and a lot of the bad stats, right? And he mentioned that their plays with the highest success rate oftentimes use at snap motion, orbit motions, that also oftentimes bleed into triple option type looks. And when using those type of motions, how does that help when you are a struggling offense? That when it just comes to lining up offensive line versus defensive line, there's some struggles. How does that help the offense? And what is kind of your expected usage in a game like this against A&M, who has oftentimes bullied opposing offensive lines and have linebackers and DBs that make plays, force turnovers, create interceptions? What's your expected usage of a lot of that and how it helps with this offense?
From an offensive standpoint, that's one of your greatest advantages because again, there's a lot of eye candy, a lot of stuff that's moving around, and that can be very, very beneficial when you're talking about an Elko team that likes to blitz. And this is the one thing teams and folks have to kind of understand: your team, your coach is always going to blitz from his position. So Mike used to kind of play quarterback, but then he started playing safety a little bit, cornerback. So a lot of his blitzes and the things that he really gets excited about when he blitzes the guy is not like the linebacker. He likes a lot of safety. He likes to pull a lot of stuff from the boundary, corners, different things like that. So that's the prism, and that's the thing you have to understand. We do very similar things when it comes to Clayton White and kind of how we try to manipulate and do certain things on our defense. That's one thing that always blows my mind, how teams don't ever realize that, oh, man, Mike Venables is always going to call linebacker blitz because Mike Venables used to be a linebacker, so that's all he's going to ever do is call those type of deals. So the motion stuff can really change and dictate and do a lot of stuff. Mike is a really smart dude, but Mike is on the sideline. If we put a bunch of different motions and shifts, and I love some of the build up and the iterations that we've been building into the offense over the last couple of weeks, where we've had we stole a little bit of the Vanderbilt deal. We had a little shovel pass with some orbit motion behind it, wide receiver coming down, a guy. So a lot of that stuff reminds me of a guy who used to coach at South Carolina. I think he might be there now. His name is Sean Elliott. A lot of Georgia State-esque type stuff, a lot of Appalachian-esque State-esque type stuff. So it looks to me like there's some synergy and some stuff marrying up with maybe some little bit of the ideas that Sean and different things that he used to be very successful at, and he made a living doing this, became a head coach doing it, and blending that into some of the pro stuff that Dowell has been doing, because I know for sure that's not the in vogue thing to do in the NFL, but I think it's one of those deals that we can use to control the blitzing and the different things to control it, because at the end, we know on offense what the picture can finally be like with the orbit motion and different things like that. Now, where we got to make sure we don't try to get too cute as where we start implementing these things, doing these things, and just totally forget about it and not throwing the curveball off of it. If we already set up the fastball, we hit them with that. We hit them with that a couple of times. Now let's come back with the curveball and really get them with that. And those are some of the things I think we used to see with the old offensive coordinator here. We would try to do a bunch of crazy motions and set up a bunch of different stuff, but there was never any counterplay off of it or any really answer off of it. And it feels like this offensive staff has been a little bit more ahead of time than building in more some of that stuff. And that's why I'm really excited to see what some of the next kind of spin-offs and curveballs we have off of some of those motions and stuff, because we have put that on tape, but now it's time to really utilize that stuff and use it kind of against a team like Texas A&M, because they scouted us out. But again, we've had a little bit of more time to put some things in front of them with the bye week last week.
A lot more to do with Langston on the other side of the break. We'll get into a few final thoughts on Carolina A&M, a quick look at what's going on around the National Football League, and Langston will offer, if not advice to Elijah Campbell, at least sage wisdom and counsel.
Always taking sage wisdom and counsel
for the bet that will be paid off here in just a little bit. You are listening to the Football Friday postgame show. 3:47 Football Friday. Happy November to you. Hope Halloween went well. Jay, Elijah, Terry at Master Control, Jeff down here, Langston on the guest line. Don't forget the Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Contest continues. $800 in the pot tomorrow night. If the Gamecocks score a special teams touchdown, somebody's going to win it. But that somebody will have already registered, or maybe they haven't. By the time it happens, they will have.
Yes,
Registered.
that's how this works.
That's how it works. So you have to register at 1075thegame.com. You'll find the Lawyer Lisa. As Terry Ford says, there's probably a clicky, spinny thing on the website. I don't know exactly how it works. Ford is very technical. I am not.
Yeah, Terry's he's actually the computer wizard of the station.
And that's what they're called.
For all terminology,
they teach
I prefer to Terry.
In like in computer science class, those kids that write the code.
Terry writes all the code, man.
Yeah, and it's like they have a class. It's like comp sci 210 clicky spinny thingy.
Actually, that's part of the course description. Is learn how to make clicky spinny
thingy. Yeah, it's a great class. So you got to go to the clicky spinny thingy and register.
I will say the computer science class I did pass in college, not on my own accord. I had some help. I had a lot of help. And I'll leave it at that.
Like AI?
I don't know if this is statute of limitations.
Yeah, you probably ought not admit that.
I appreciate the degree I got. And while I didn't cheat on anything, I had someone much smarter than me give me a hand.
You're playing fast and loose with the language.
I am.
That's all I'm going to tell you.
I am.
Langston joins us right now. He would never teach that kind of thing when he is in front of children at schools doing visits.
No.
But
work smarter, not harder is definitely a lesson that we all learn in life at some point.
That's
at
right.
Some point, we have to do that.
If you would like to see Langston and our very good friend Coach P. Preston Thorne in a school near you, or any other speaking engagement, or you want to learn more about Just a Chicken Little, Used to Was a Rooster, you go to athletesandartists.net. You can also find out about the Button Gut podcast, the Fight podcast. There's a whole bunch of fun stuff on there. You can learn about how awesome Kev Roche is, probably.
Yeah.
The new dad that is Kev Roche. You wonder, with that in mind, Langston, and you can also follow Langston on Twitter. Remove the Chains is the way to do that. And again, athletesandartists.net. Langston, I've never been to Kevin's house. I'm sure you have. Are all family portraits at Kev's house actually done by Kev? No photographs, only his artwork.
Much like any good artist, he doesn't put up any of his own stuff in the household. So I'm sure now at this point in his life, and I have been outside of Kevin's house, and there's a tremendous amount of garnet mulch, and it's very manicured lawn. There's a lot of gates and different codes and security guys you got to go to get back into the Roche compound. But I've seen pictures and I've seen the setup, and with the new child around, I don't know if the child is making macaroni necklaces yet, but I'm sure that's all the art, paint, whatever the child decides to do. That is the art du jour in the household for the Kevin Roche family right now, for sure.
Yeah, well, hope everybody is doing well. We need to see Kev, and I wonder how mad he was as a rabid Bears fan, how disappointed he was the other day. And now they play your Cardinals this weekend. That's actually a pretty good game.
Again, man. Yeah. Again, we don't know. It's just like the Cardinals to lose at home, but then fly all the way from one tip of America to the other tip of America and figure out a way to beat. It just, again, Kyler Murray continues to be the best non-script. Who knows what we're going to get NFL quarterback, and that's really tough because in the NFL you need a lot of scripted plays from quarterbacks. So I guess I don't know how you playing around a guy like that. So just see what happens. Let him do his magic.
All right, we'll get your final game thoughts for the one here at Williams-Brice in just a second here, just a few minutes left in this hour. But as you know, in about an hour's time, Langston, Elijah Campbell will be paying off the bet that he and I made between the Saints and Broncos, Broncos winning in New Orleans, and he will be eating what is described as a plateful. I don't quite know what that means from a volume perspective, a plateful of Rocky Mountain oysters. Now, I don't know how popular they are in Texas. We asked you earlier a couple weeks ago about that. You've not had them. You have had chitlins, though, right? I mean, growing up where you grew up. I mean, so and I know,
not willingly. But yes.
Okay, yeah. I'm down. I kind of got conned
into it. Did you lose a bet, Langston?
But so what's your biggest piece of if not advice, just counsel for and I know that's kind of synonymous, but what do you have to say to Mr. Campbell here?
If there's one thing I know about anything in life is eating stuff that I shouldn't be eating and eating a lot of it and doing it to please the people around me. So I would tell you, sir, given the choice, hopefully they're not boiling it or it's not coming out with some type of liquid. The liquid needs to be grease and it needs to be fried hard. I need you to have somebody fry it like it's, I don't know if it's gizzards, chicken tails, chicken necks, backs, wings. What is this? I don't know. So if you get it fried hard, put enough hot sauce on it, put enough condiments on it. Also, where's Will King at? I told you about this, Elijah. You let Jay and Will King conspire together. These two guys. Where's Will King
Oh
at?
yeah, now we're talking.
Where's Will
Now we're
King at?
talking, Langston. Yes,
And
yes,
on
sir.
top, and on
Now
top
we're
of all
talking.
this, and on top of all this, you're getting real vague with it. So when we say a plate, is this like a saucer plate? Is this like a? Just be careful, Elijah. Just be careful. I got hooked on a phone plan like this years ago. It's just like, yeah, 3 nights a weekend. Don't worry about that. And I paid like $2,000 for this Nokia phone, and all I could do was play Snake on it. So just be careful. Read the fine print.
No Tetris, nothing, just Snake.
No.
Brutal.
I'm telling you, I did not. I told Elijah multiple times, you do not have to do this if you don't want to. But he was, as you said, committed.
But here's the thing,
Elijah
is right on the crest of the younger elk. You know, he's got, he grew up in a social. He's a digital native, so he's not one to turn down anything when a camera's in front of him. You know, world star, all of that stuff. I'm not saying he's out there, hooking people and starting fights, but you put a camera in front of him and put some Rocky Mountain oysters. You know, he ain't no punk now. He's gonna figure out some ways.
No, he's doing it. He's doing it.
If I have to be America's court jester, I will be America's court jester.
Yeah,
I will find myself as a martyr.
I am under the impression they are going to be deep fried, but I honestly do not have full confirmation of that. I guess again, that confirmation only comes once.
We're a college football show. Upsets happen all the time.
Now, also the entrepreneurial in me feels very upset because one, we didn't sell pay-per-view tickets. We didn't get side bets going. We didn't get prop bets going. How many before Elijah gags? How many before he actually projects something out of his mouth? I could have figured. I knew there was a bear parent somewhere in there over there at Carolina Craft. So I just feel really upset that we lost a way to make a whole bunch of money. I know Terry Ford is listening right now. So next time, call me. We can figure out a way to at least make $20 off of this thing.
Yeah, revenue streams are always important. That's a very
I like that approach.
That's a very fair point.
Probably should have been a little more aggressive towards that.
Yeah, well, we should have thought about that. All right, real quick, Langston, Gamecocks win tomorrow night.
Gamecocks win. The home crowd, everything works in our favor, and the black uniforms. They're benefiting us. They're not. It's not the University of Florida versus South Carolina black uniforms.
All right, there you go. Good stuff. He's Langston Moore, athletesandartists.net. Remove the chains on Twitter. Thank you, sir. We will certainly be back in touch with updates. Hour 2 of the post-game show is coming up.
I'll be watching.
That's beautiful. All right. Hey, dude. How are you? You doing all right? Glad you're here. Here, pull a chair around over here and just hang. 4 o'clock on this Football Friday. Welcome back in. Second hour of the postgame show coming at you from Columbia Craft in the Vista alongside Elijah Campbell. I'm Jay Phillips. Terry Ford at Master Control up that way in downtown Columbia's Herndon Chevy Studios. Jeff Haley is, again, making sure we don't burn the place down. Thanks, as always, to Langston Moore. And our buddy Jordan Kay on the Gamecock beat for the state newspaper, kind enough to come hang with us here. We'll get him a beer or something in just a little bit. How are you?
I hear they have
great. How are you guys?
Good to see you. Good to see you. Have you heard about our bet?
I have now.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we'll
been properly
you'll be
I can't
here.
wait to. I think I'm going to keep my distance, be about the COVID 6 feet away when Elijah's eating them.
No, okay, Elijah's going to be fine.
I think he'll be good.
I'm not at all.
There's
worried.
even a chance I like it. There's a chance. You never
Listen,
know.
here's what I've
Try
said
anything.
about things like this in the past. Whatever the exotic food may be, if it's something that's still around and has been, for lack of a better word, enjoyed for centuries, then it can't be terrible. You gotta. It's a mind over matter
100%.
concept.
Yeah.
I've had the Rocky Mountain oyster tacos.
Yeah.
And they weren't bad, but I just couldn't get over the.
No, you got
Couldn't
the
get
knowledge.
over the knowledge.
It's
of
the
what
knowledge, right?
yeah.
I mean, if you just put a plate of it in front of me and said, "Yeah, Elijah, this is a cow. It's kind of like beef," I'd be like,
Well,
"Hell
listen,
yeah, I'll eat it."
here's-
And then
Here's the story I tell. I've told Elijah. Some have heard me tell this on the air. So, one of my uncles grew up in Berkeley County, South Carolina, about an hour and a half down the road in the Low Country. Grew up on a farm, and for again, all over the world, if you have animals, and this goes way back, you use the whole animal, right? And so, but my uncle was an attorney, and he had some clients in New York City and Washington and places like that. And he was a big hunter. And so in the fall, sometimes like with Carolina was out of town or something, he'd have big like hunting trips come down and people would be on the farm. And so he's bringing these guys in one time. I was like 12. Okay. I mean, we went a bunch, but I can remember this. I was like 11 or 12. Bunch of guys from New York City and Washington are there. It was a good day of hunting or whatever. And he would always have a big dinner on Saturday, with all kinds of good, like just low country food, all kinds of stuff. Right. And before dinner, he's passing out this particular night these big platters of what he called Santee Cooper freshwater oysters. And these guys are deep fried. They just, like a fried oyster. And these guys are gobbling them up, man. And they're loving it. Oh, these are great, Bob. These are great. He brings out the second plate. They're shoveling them in, right? And so before dinner, he then does the honorable thing, and he tells them all what they are. And they were chitlins. And if you don't know what, and you're not from the South, so if you don't know what chitlins are, pig intestine that are cut and washed and deep fried. And the texture is like an oyster like a fried oyster to a large degree. Okay.
Oh my.
And these guys and chitlins are very, listen, you go to a lot of places around here and you'll get a tub of them, man. I mean, believe me, they're a thing. Great line about chitlins in Boomerang, the Eddie Murphy movie. If you've seen Boomerang, just check that one out. Like, I told you, they don't stink if you pull the membrane out. Like, that's a great line. I love that line. But anyway, so then all these guys are like, wait, we're eating what? And they're at that point,
the look on their face.
It changed dramatically. Now nobody's leaning over the porch and
they weren't going back for thirds.
But he's like, y'all liked them, didn't you? And they're like, well, we kind of did. So same type of thing, that they call them Rocky Mountain oysters. Because if you put on a menu what they really are, no one's going to buy it. And back in the day, nobody cared because you you use the whole animal. So
not doing so would be wasteful. Actually.
Yeah, it would. And so again, but I did not. I assure you, and Langston or Elijah knows. Langston was like, Jay and Will conspired. I promise there was no conspiracy whatsoever.
There might have been actually
no conspiracy.
I think Langston convinced me
whatsoever. I told Elijah, hey, you could bail on this, man.
No, he can't.
Well, not after
okay.
the game. Before I was like, hey, here's the proposal that Will came up with. Do you want to do this?
Gotcha.
Believe me, I am not. We could come up with something else. And
I don't turn down challenges.
And he, to his credit, he was like, no, we're good. So
I can't wait to watch.
So here we are. But good to see you. I will ask you the same question as I mentioned that I have asked several people this week. based not just on last week's result for A&M beating LSU.
Yeah.
But with that as kind of the new, top layer of this storyline, this game is bigger for who tomorrow night? Mike Elko and A&M, Shane Beamer in South Carolina.
Shane Beamer. If Mike Elko loses it, it's a really bad loss, but you still would only have one loss in the SEC. You still probably control your destiny to the playoff because you got Texas at the end. If South Carolina doesn't win this, you kind of look at the rest of the schedule and like, what good wins are there? And the only ranked win might be at Clemson at the end of the season if they even get a win there. So they could be looking at 2 straight years without a ranked win, without one of those signature rush the field moments. And if they don't get this, like, when are they going to get it? I mean, they'll still probably make a bowl, but Shane Beamer needs a signature win like this to kind of keep the momentum of the program going.
Yeah, significantly. And that's why, because you look at the rest of the schedule too, there's some vulnerability there. I mean,
sure.
Missouri's not going to be the same when it was, when you look at the preseason and they're almost a top 10 team.
Yeah.
The win at Vanderbilt will look better than it did, but again, they're not going to be, highly doubt they're, going to be ranked. And you end up getting to that Clemson game and you're having to win on the road to salvage something special. I was saying, after the Oklahoma win, there's a really good chance you can get to that last game potentially at 8-3 if you get past Texas A&M, and we're talking about a significant change of what the season is compared to what we're talking about. Maybe being lucky to get 6 or 7 wins at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, you looked at that schedule a couple months ago, and it seemed about impossible that they would get to 7 wins, and all of a sudden, Missouri's not as good as they were. Oklahoma's the worst it's been in, however many years.
30 years. Almost 30 years.
Yeah. Vanderbilt, I guess, is a little better, but it's still Vanderbilt. And, yeah, if he comes off a 5-7 season, gets 8 wins, 9 wins, all of a sudden that trajectory from 2022, he can say, hey, we just had one little blip. It was all the injuries. We're still going on the right path. And that's a pretty good selling point.
What do you think Clayton White learned, is ready to deal with when it comes to probably preparing for just one guy? But I guess there's the possibility that Wegman gets his way back in if Reed isn't doing it. But as Elijah's told us, having covered him in Nashville when he was in high school.
Oh, yeah.
That's when Marcel was in high school, not Elijah.
Not you.
I was in high school a little longer ago than Marcel.
But, are you prepping for 2? Are you able to do what you're really, really good at if Marcel Reed's the guy behind center?
You're not going to be able to do it as much, but there's still going to be opportunities. I go back to the Akron game. South Carolina didn't have very many sacks, and it looks bad on paper because how do you not have 10 sacks against Akron? But they were just getting rid of the ball super quick.
Right.
And it was okay. Kyle Kennard, you're not going to be able to go after him. You just got to set the edge, make sure he doesn't. Akron couldn't get anything going offensively. So that's probably the plan with Marcel Reed if he's in there. Hey, you guys have to just set the edge and keep contained. We can't let this guy get out of the pocket. And there are probably going to be a couple calls where you go after him and blitz him, but it's just a different game plan, not exactly the one the stat people are going to love because it's not going to help them, get to number 1 in the SEC in sacks or anything like that. But it's just a different game plan. And those guys are probably athletic enough and deal with it with Sellers and Ashford in practice every day that it shouldn't be anything too groundbreaking.
Yeah, and I have a theory. I have a theory too that A&M might not throw the ball more than 11 or 12 times. I'd be surprised.
Why? Yeah, why
would
would they?
Because the game against LSU, they mauled them at the line of scrimmage,
yeah.
right? And as soon as Marcel Reed came into that game, LSU continuously lost the guessing game of is the ball in Marcel's hands or Le'Veon Moss's hands. Continuously losing that battle throughout the entire game too. And when you look at this matchup too, what's the one thing South Carolina does better than anybody else that keeps them in every single game they play? Pass rush.
Yep.
You cannot rush a passer if there is no passer. And I really do. I would be stunned to see A&M throw the ball more than I want to put the number at 13. If they throw the ball more than 13 times with either quarterback, I think I'm going to be incredibly surprised.
Unless they just get down right away.
Unless the game dictates
it. That may mean that they are having to come from behind.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it'll be fascinating. It's going to be just kind of a different way of watching, Kyle Kennard and Dylan Stewart and those linebackers play.
Yeah, and that's just it. And what have you been able to do? I mean, look, as Shane has pointed out and as Clayton has pointed out, and you guys were at the press conferences, Reed has played. And
Yeah.
he has played in some meaningful opportunities. A road win at Florida.
The tape
Yeah.
is there.
A tough environment. And then I know it was a non-con game in the other game that he started and played the whole game. But this is, again, he kind of burst on the scene, if only because of the importance of last weekend's matchup. But he's not new, in terms of what the film study shows. So you have to ask yourself, how much did South Carolina in the off week, even when they were working on themselves, you're still doing a little bit about the opponent. How much have they really prepped for both of these guys?
Yeah, they probably, after that LSU game, went to the drawing board and were like, okay, whatever Wegman prep is probably enough. Let's try and focus a lot of our attention to Marcel Reed. And Clayton even said it, where he's like, I don't know if they necessarily need to make a quarterback announcement. We kind of have an idea of who's coming. And yeah, it shouldn't be a surprise. And I think it was a surprise to LSU, which even Beamer in his press conference was like almost shaking off the question before someone asked of like, hey, like this guy played, like, I don't know how they didn't prepare for 2 quarterbacks. Like we prepared for 2 against Oklahoma. Like this is not rocket science or anything. And yeah, you're right. He has plenty of tape. This is not some freshman who just came off the bench. He's a guy who has reps and tape.
Yeah. Jordan Kay hanging out with us here on the beat, covering the Gamecocks for the state newspaper. Carolina A&M tomorrow night. A&M is now up to, at least at last time I checked, a 3-point favorite. Again, opened at 3.5, down to 2.5, now back to 3. Probably holds steady right around there. It's a sellout tomorrow night at Williams-Brice, but if you want to go, Jeff Haley has tickets for you. Now, you got to come here to see us and get them, all right? No calling Terry Ford and asking for a favor. No text line, no Twitter, no email. In person at Columbia Craft. We have 3 pair. We'll give away 1 right now. We got some more to give away throughout the day, so there will be other opportunities. So come see us. We're inside the main room here at the brewery.
Find Jeff and say David Eckstein. That's the password. That's the famous password to get the tickets.
Yeah, or just any Cardinal player. He doesn't care. Say Whitey Herzog. If you say Whitey Herzog, Jeff will give you his autograph.
Which is better. You get tickets
Jeff's
and
autograph.
A Jeff autograph. Yes.
Jeff's autograph, not Whitey's. Yes.
Actually, he'll autograph the ticket. They're virtual tickets, or well, he'll autograph. You can print them out. You print out the ticket, and he'll autograph that for you.
He'll autograph your arm, and then you can go get it tattooed.
Yeah, exactly.
There's
just
that.
like that. It's a perfect outline for your tattoo.
But come see us here at Columbia Craft. First pair of tickets to give away. More with Jordan, and I just got a text from our good friend Will King. And the delicacies are on the way.
Oh, baby.
Oh, the delicacies.
So,
I like how you worded that.
Delicacies. It is nearly here. 13 minutes after 4 o'clock on a football Friday, and this is the postgame show. No better place than Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union to get your next vehicle financed. They offer terrific low rates on all new to 2021 models. They've got some great options for older vehicles as well. Maybe you're looking for something to go hunting or tailgating and don't want to beat up the regular ride on a regular basis. Then might be a great option for you. Many of the plans at Palmetto Citizens come with no payments for up to 90 days, so you can get a chance to get that new ride, get your feet wet. They can finance over 100% of the retailer purchase price, too, on those new to 21 models, and they offer additional coverage and insurance options dealerships simply can't beat. So shop all around the Midlands for that next vehicle of yours, then stop into any of the 14 area Palmetto Citizens locations, or apply online and learn more at palmettocitizens.org. My wife and I are members, very happy with what we get. We think you will be too. Palmetto Citizens, achieve your potential. 18 minutes after 4 o'clock on this Friday afternoon. Welcome back into the post-game show, our Football Friday edition from Columbia Craft in the Vista. Maz and the crew having us out here. We always appreciate that. A little later on, I will absolutely be partaking in a little Nostalgia Glasses IPA, which has become my favorite beer in Columbia. I mean, I'm not just saying that because Maz is looking at me right now. I have said it when I'm not even here, right? When I'm not even here. And a few things going on around here that Elijah's going to tell you about.
Yeah, 7th anniversary Fall Fest. So that will be November 22nd. Let's see, that is going to be from 5 to 10 p.m. So a lot of time to have a lot of fun, live music, fall games, all types, an outdoor event. So
fall games like bobbing for apples.
I can imagine. Yeah, I'd like.
I'm not sure that's as sanitary as they want it to be these days.
No, probably not. But fun, yes. We can
you ever bob for apples?
Sanitation.
You ever done that?
In the toilet, yeah. Just kidding. Sandlot reference. Before anyone takes that literally, it's a Sandlot reference. I've never bobbed for apples.
I think we did when I was like 11 or 12 or 13. I remember one time at like
in the toilet?
Church. No, at a church youth group thing or something. And I was like, this is really not fun.
It's water torture.
Yeah, it's really not. It's really not fun.
It's like the free version of waterboarding. Like the light
it
version.
really is.
Yeah, it's the light
waterboarding
version,
for kids.
Yeah. Plus, you got 50 people sticking their face in the same, tub of water.
Yeah, a lot of germs in there.
Not as sanitary.
I think they'll have sanitary fall games though.
Okay, well that's good.
And there's a relaunch of a classic beer here, and that is going to be the Macro Genuine Lager.
Wow.
So been gone for a while, so they're relaunching that bad boy.
All
It is a free event, so you don't have to pay anything.
Cool.
Just your attendance, just your the love in your heart is all that's necessary. It's going to be the night before the game against Wofford.
Look at you. That is nice.
Yeah.
So we'll be here for that then.
We will.
Uh-oh. But can you get out of the high school show that night?
Maybe I can just do it from here. That'd be fun. Maybe we can do the Love Chevy High School Football Scoreboard show that normally airs from 7 to 11 every Friday night during high school football season.
Coach.
Hey, Coach.
Coach.
Big win. That's a big win on the road. Sir, we were at home. Yeah, big win on the road.
That's what I said. Coach. Coach.
You ever thought about running a flea flicker? I'd love to go 5-0 for you.
Jordan K.
That's what I would sound like. Yeah.
Jordan K. of the State Paper hanging out with us here at Columbia Craft this afternoon. Let's talk about this Gamecock offense. Fully healthy pretty much. Jared Brown is back. Still seeing a lot of guys in that wide receiver rotation. Look, you are who you are at this point in the season. So I asked this question not so much like in any kind of critical way towards Carolina, but are you surprised that we haven't seen, for lack of a better word, some separation amongst the usage of guys that catch passes?
No. I mean, this is what we anticipated when we saw the roster a couple months ago. This was a lot of guys who none of them had proven themselves as an SEC receiver, and they were a bunch of guys who were just fine. And I'm not surprised. I think this was the way it was kind of setting up for the entire season. And if something else happened, that would have been a surprise. If some guy ended up as Xavier Leggett, that would have been the surprise. But I think what's happened is kind of what was expected a little bit. And, that was the big question mark coming into the season. And now we're in November officially, and it's still the question mark.
I know Shane and Dowell wouldn't say it, or any of the guys that you talk to, Norris or any of his receivers, but do you feel like that is an issue when it comes to continuing to grow in this offense, that there are so many guys that maybe Lenoris, I feel like he's developing it with Mazio to some degree. Elijah, I'm stealing from Elijah right now, but he's talked about an easy button. Josh Simon seems to have become the easy button.
Yeah,
so maybe
especially on first down. Yeah.
So maybe those two guys a little bit more, but is that anything that you're getting, even as you read between the lines and speaking with people, that it's interrupting the flow of Lenoris's progression in this offense, or is it not an issue?
I think early on in the season, it was a bigger issue when I think the offense had more parts moving and guys just couldn't get separation. There were too many drops. It was every time Lenoris had something open, a guy would drop it, or there was no separation, he's running. But right now it's so tough to kind of put your finger on, hey, what's the problem? Because Lenoris is completing 70% of his passes, but is that necessarily a good thing if none of those passes are explosive balls? Is it more on the offensive line? Is it on the scheme? Is it on the running backs? I mean, the running backs in pass protection, at least according to Pro Football Focus, have been atrocious this year. And, you kind of look at that and say, how many people are to blame here? And I think it's a lot of different collective parts and not necessarily just one group by itself.
Yeah, you mentioned the pass protection too. I thought you asked a really good question today when to Dowell and talking about, with the pass protection not being adequate, I guess, to be able to give Lenoris enough time at times. I mean, that pocket collapses a lot. He's under pressure as almost any quarterback in the SEC.
Yeah.
Just moving the pocket. And that's one thing I think Lenoris, when figuring out what he does really well, I think some of his best plays this year have been when he's on the move, whether it be like a triple option
100%.
or if he's going to throw off his back foot. That's really when he's at kind of maximized. What's kind of the sense that you have that the offense might shift towards just doing a lot of rollouts, maybe doing a lot more things that involve Lenoris passing on the run and maybe not having that pass protection be stationary?
Yeah, if you think back to last year, it seemed like almost every play Spencer Rattler was just rolling to his right, and all of a sudden you're cutting out 50% of the field, but you're also giving him just protection for a little bit. He's running outside the pocket, and I think what teams have done to counter that a little bit is they're just putting a defensive end so wide where they can just run after Lenoris, and that's what kind of Dowell was saying. But I think it's partly on Lenoris at times of the triple option. He has one of those options is to throw, and sometimes you kind of wonder like, hey, what is he seeing out there? And he might be making the right read all the time, and the defense is just playing it really well. But perhaps they just keep running that same thing that they've shown on film, and he just lets the ball go a little bit more because, like you're saying, I mean, some of his best plays, even the ones that have been dropped, are when he's rolling out of the pocket right along the sideline and, can flick it over the defense.
Are you they haven't said anything this week, and nor should they, or would they, but are you anticipating any personnel changes up front on offense after the bye week?
Yeah, I mean, no inside info, but I'd be surprised if they didn't. At this point, it's why not try something new? And perhaps Texas A&M is not the game you want to be trying new things, but what's the harm in, throwing a couple of guys out there? I thought Jatavius Shivers, when he played a little bit, had some good moments. You got Tree Babalade, who started games. Marky Anderson's played a little bit. Could you switch out one of those tackles maybe and just give it a shot and see if someone's been better? And they've had more practices because of the bye week to test out those different things. And I would be a little surprised if they came back out and said after 2 weeks of practice, hey, actually, we've had it right the whole time. We do have our best five out there. That would be a little surprising.
I mean, they have been keeping it for a while. And one of the things Elijah and I discuss a lot is it relative to last season when, what was it again? Game 8?
Oh,
it was like 9 or 10.
Yeah, you didn't get back-to-back starting lineup combinations until mid-November.
This year you basically kept the same five. Again, you've had some guys come in and out, obviously, and that's going to be part of the rotation anyway. But and yet the feeling, at least, Jordan, is that they're really not that much better at what it is they're supposed to do. I think the measurables might say they're a little better, but but only a little.
Yeah, and even that's I'm not sure, how many of those would say it, I guess maybe with the sacks a little bit, but you're totally right. I mean, last year they pinned it, basically all the struggles on the injuries. Right. Now there's nothing. Now it's hey, maybe, we don't have enough talent right now, but hey, you just brought in all these recruits. You actually brought in transfers who had playing experience, and you kind of look around and say, like, why is this happening again? Is it our recruitment? Is it the guys we have? Is it a scheme thing? Do we just need to get better at one position? And it's really hard to pin down an offensive line as complex as it is. It's people watch it from the outside, me included, and I can't necessarily pin it down. I just kind of see what the stats tell me, and that shows the guys on the outside have been struggling.
Yeah, which leads me to believe there might be maybe a player development issue too. I mean, it does feel like maybe no one has kind of stepped up and taken that lead. I mean, Torricelli Simpkins, I think, has had a solid year.
He's been their best player.
He's been really good on that line.
That's lineman,
but he's also 22 years old.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So I mean, is it a portal fix? You get more of those guys. We've seen some horror stories this year in terms of portal-built offensive lines. I think Ole Miss is one of those examples too, where like the individual pieces on the line are really good. They come from Joe Moore award-winning offensive lines, and this year they can't clear a run lane for anybody. That's a very underachieving run offense. So it makes the fix a lot tougher as to, do you just go into the portal and you stock up on the offensive line, take the gamble that it might not gel in time? That's really the tough part about the offensive line in terms of roster construction.
And maybe this is the year we look back on in 2 or 3 years and say, hey, that offensive line took their lumps, but Josiah Thompson, those 600 snaps he took in 2024, that made all the difference 2 years later. And Casey Henry is such a better player because of what he got out of that. And Kamar Bell is a much better player. And maybe this is the year that you just got to take the lumps and say, hey, this is going to really help us down the road. But in the moment, it's just tough to swallow a little bit.
Well, come back on the other side of the break. Jordan's going to hang with us. We'll take our drive around the SEC. Always do it a little bit earlier on our Football Friday editions of the show. And again, our good friend Will King is on the way.
With my delicacies.
With the delicacies. That's right. So we got that and more. And we've given away our first pair of tickets. I'll tell you what. Let's go ahead. If you're in the area, we'll go ahead and give away pair number 2. Jeff is ready to help you out with that. So come on by Columbia Craft in person. Win a pair of tickets, Carolina A&M. You're listening to the Postgame Show. Guys, not feeling like yourself as you get a little bit older. You're wondering why you can't remember things. You're wondering why you don't feel quite as energetic after a really invigorating workout. Don't wait for those things to change or go away because they're probably not gonna. Instead, you need to set up a time to see Dr. Dan Balknight and his team at the Men's Clinic. Over the last several years, they have helped hundreds, if not thousands, of your friends and neighbors. They really, really are doing some great work. Tons of great testimonials. You'll get that one-on-one consultation with Dan. You'll get to the root of the issues, what you're doing every day, where it could be better for you. They get you back to feeling like you used to and like you want to. There is no magic pill, all right? You're not going to listen to former athletes tell you about what's great for you when they're out on the golf course. It's not how it works, all right? This is a doctor and a staff that's ready to help you out. They're experts in healthcare for men, dedicated to making you feel like yourself again. Call them up, 803-875-MENS.
From
Yeah.
From the WIS Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell with a few accidents to get to that are causing some issues on the roadways. We will go ahead and start off here in Richland County. You got one on Farrow Road at Highway 555 near Pisgah Church Road, Gervais Street near Hugh G. Street.
That's right here.
I-26 eastbound, yeah, at Piney Grove Road near exit 104. Right lane completely blocked. We also have the right lane blocked on 20 westbound for Lee State Park Road, exit 123.
4:34 on this Friday afternoon. Welcome back into the postgame show. Jay Phillips, Elijah Campbell, Terry Ford is running master control for us, saying things in our ear that can't be repeated on air. I don't know why Ford likes to do that to us. So
he can repeat that on air.
He's
actually
doing it again.
Spread the agenda.
Yeah, well,
He just said you look really good, Jay.
Thank you, Elijah. He's lying, but I do. I'm wearing a Denver Broncos shirt today, and Elijah will be putting on a John Elway. Shouldn't you be wearing that all day? Is that not? I don't know if that was part of it. I guess
I do it while I eat the delicacies.
Okay. I didn't know if that was like a part of the whole thing.
See, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Now, it is a very lovely jersey. It's
Uh-huh.
nothing against the jersey.
Uh-huh.
It is a little tight, and I like to breathe.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And I don't want to sweat all in this thing, too, because if it's really tight, I will sweat.
Well,
I'm kind of sweating right now a little bit. My body gets really warm. I'm basically a furnace.
I'm that guy, too.
Yeah, so
I sweat in the freezer.
The
so
last thing I want is for you in this very nice John Elway jersey to have some pit stains on this bad boy.
Well,
it didn't come from you.
It can be laundered, but it is.
It can be laundered.
It is more my size. Elijah is again 8'2".
I'm a big boy.
So I'm only
big,
I'm only 5'10". So
grown boy.
Yeah.
But I will be wearing this as soon as we hit
Well,
this
I
break.
brought it
I
to
will
you.
be going to change into it. So.
It fit.
It fit as in it can be on my body. It's a snug.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it? I would not be wearing it. Well, you are in public, so I can't say I wouldn't wear it publicly. I wouldn't wear it out in an outing in which I'm trying to appear a certain way.
I got you.
It's a little tight.
Michael Geddes is watching, and he asks, "Is that the jersey we got you a few years back?" Yes, it is, Michael Geddes. When Michael and Nathan
it was a
were
gift
out in Denver, my two John Elway jerseys are both gifts. My lovely wife got me one, and Michael and Nathan got me one.
Is it gift or gift? Just kidding.
That's good.
Stupid dad.
That's good, actually. That's good. But yes, Michael, it is. But Michael and Nathan were kind enough to bring that back to me from Denver one time. My wife was in Denver not too long ago and took a picture out of her hotel room, and she thought it was just the mountains, and she just sent the picture, right?
Right.
And in the foreground from a hotel room is the field, the stadium.
Yeah.
And so I said, "Go Broncos." And she's like, "What?" And she just took a picture out of her hotel and just saw the Rockies.
Not noticing.
And she was like, "Oh my God, I didn't even see this." I was like, "That's the view of your room. You didn't even see it." So no, I am a big Broncos fan. Long story. I'll tell that another time. Let's do our drive around the SEC real quick here. We'll come back around with Jordan's final thoughts on Carolina and A&M. Let's start with Ole Miss and Arkansas as we've got to look at it right now. Ole Miss is a 7.5-point favorite in Fayetteville. Ole Miss, guys, just has to get back on track.
Yeah, that offense is.
I mean, they beat Oklahoma last week, but they need wins.
They didn't start fast against Oklahoma.
No.
That's the thing. I think the start of the South Carolina-Oklahoma game was dramatically different than the start of Ole Miss-Oklahoma. I can't quit Ole Miss, right?
I can't either.
I'm going to quote, what was it, Brokeback Mountain? I can't quit you, Ole Miss. I can't. There's something that pulls me in. Like, you look at that game, you watch it, and it's totally non-attractive in how they pulled that win out. But then you look at, the numbers. I was doing a deep dive on A&M and maybe some of the advanced numbers, like Bill Connolly's SP+, and I found out that Texas A&M is one of only 3 teams in the entire country that ranks top 15 in all offense, defense, and special teams, SP+. The other 2 being Georgia, and Ole Miss is still there. It's still there. Like, it's still a really good football team, but for some reason, it's just not looking the same way I expected it to look at the beginning of the year.
This is the fun part about the 12-team playoff. This Ole Miss team, like, every game is a playoff game from now on.
Yeah,
that's what's fun about watching it. It's like they've got to win out, basically.
The margin for error is over.
gone.
It's
Yeah.
completely gone. It's
No,
gone.
And I'm glad you said what you did. We'll come back to some other games. But, for those who kept saying it's going to make the regular season meaningless, no, it's not. It's going to incorporate so many more schools, so many more games. I never, ever, ever once bought into that notion that it was going to, make the regular season meaningless or anything like that. Look, you're playing for home field advantage. There's a lot of things to play for.
Yeah.
But it opens the door for so many more. So I'm here for that level of drama. Vandy going to Auburn. I've now got Auburn -8, so that line continues to creep up just a little bit from where it opened. Jordan, I like Vandy to cover in this game, if nothing else.
I don't understand this line
At all.
I would have thought it was almost Vandy -8. I don't know what Vegas knows that they think Auburn, team with 3 wins, is somehow 8 point better than Vandy. I'm with you. I
they
feel
want
like
you to part your lose your money. And the FPI, for what it's worth, 63% in favor of Auburn. So take it as you will.
It's a weird one.
Auburn's one of those teams. They are really good at moving the ball and keeping the other team from moving the ball, but they just do the one thing that you can't do, and that's let the other team score for you. Give the ball to the other team.
Yeah.
I mean, we are a month and a half away from Christmas. There's not been it's the giving season, and there has not been a more giving player in college football than Peyton Thorne, who has gifted a lot of points to a lot of opposition. And you know what Vanderbilt's done a good job of this year? Forcing turnovers. That's how they won the Alabama game.
Yeah.
They got outgained by 3 yards from a yard per play basis, which means you have like a less than 1% chance of winning. And they won the game because they had 2 defensive touchdowns. They hung in there against Texas because they got tip ball interceptions and forced some turnovers, and it kept them in the game, right? Vanderbilt's opportunistic. And what happened the last time Diego Pavia went to Jordan-Hare Stadium?
They won.
I mean, he showed a lot of Rocky Mountain oysters and went in there and didn't just win. They won by 3 touchdowns, Jay Phillips.
Yeah.
So Hugh Freeze is terrorized by the visual of Diego Pavia. So the fact that he's an underdog in that building should be borderline offensive to that.
I like Vandy at the point. That game did not make the cut on the wild card show. I don't think it did anyway. No, it did not. But I kind of wish it had. But anyway, I like Vandy to cover that 8. We shall see. Cocktail party tomorrow afternoon. Georgia is now a 14.5 point favorite. Despite Florida having a couple of key starters out, this line has dropped a little bit in the last couple of days. Now with the starters gone and a lower line, I certainly like Georgia to win and cover this spread. But Florida's playing better football.
Yeah, DJ Lagway's actually made them kind of fun to watch.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I like Georgia by 14.5. But, I mean, Georgia's been in a lot of tight games this year, so I could see Florida, having a couple garbage time touchdowns and hanging.
I'm convinced.
Close, yeah.
I'm convinced. I've told Elijah this. I don't think he agrees with me, but I am convinced, and I know I'm right in my head, regardless. that Kirby,
you can't be right there. Where are you right?
Kirby was playing possum when they played state, and that's why and then they went to Austin and just laid waste to Texas for the most part. So
I like that.
That's my point of view. Right or wrong, I don't know.
I do feel like Kirby would want to run up the score on Saturday, though.
Yeah, I think so.
The same way Steve Spurrier liked to do it whenever Georgia was down.
100%.
Down years. Steve Spurrier loved doing that. This is just a nice reciprocation, and Kirby Smart's a Georgia man.
And then finally, Kentucky and Tennessee in Knoxville. This one is moving up 17.5 right now. And Kentucky has just – the wheels have come off.
How did they beat Ole Miss?
I don't know.
I keep looking back at the game, and I don't know what happened. And it almost scares you this week. It's, if South Carolina beats A&M, it's like, it's great, but there's still a lot of football to be played. And yeah, I like Tennessee by a lot in that one. I don't know what has happened with Kentucky.
Well, I'll tell you what I've told Elijah, and this, and he's going to laugh at me, but I will remain disappointed. Is the wrong word, because look, I'm just a guy that does what I do. But you never got to see South Carolina really be South Carolina against Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Because they took themselves out of the game so quickly.
Yeah.
If you will. And then by 14-0, it was just kind of like you were at a funeral or something.
Yeah.
It was so quiet in that ballpark, and it didn't need to be. I'd love to have known, and maybe they still get beat by 24 points. Sure. I don't know.
Sure.
But I'd love to have known what would have happened if South Carolina and Williams-Brice could have been in full effect, and we never got to see that. But regardless, I'm with you. It does tell me Carolina had an opportunity.
Yeah.
And you never got a chance to really take that opportunity.
Yeah.
So but I think Tennessee might win by 30.
Yeah. And
I mean, look, Florida beat Kentucky by 28.
I know.
Well, you saw what South Carolina's pass rush did against a fully healthy Kentucky offensive line. There's no Gerald Mincey coming into this game. He's already been rolled out. James Pierce might be the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft. What James Pierce might do to Brock Vandagriff can border cannibalism. It's going to get ugly. I don't know how Kentucky scores. I don't know how they stop the run game. I mean, teams have run on Kentucky all season long, despite having some monster like NFL talent on that line.
Yeah.
I have a hard time seeing how Kentucky hangs in this game.
That's our drive around the SEC, brought to you by Herndon Chevy. Stop by the showroom, see why Herndon makes you smile. Will King is in the house. So are the little Will Kings.
Oh,
I don't think they're going to be doing this, but
Nope.
the delicacies have arrived, and we will let you know what's up on the other side of the break. You are listening to the Postgame Show. The post-game show. The time has arrived. Jay Phillips, Elijah Campbell, Jordan Kay still hanging out with us here. Don't know if there will be a feature story about this in the state newspaper or at the state.com. We'll see. It depends on how busy Jordan is this weekend. But once again, if you've just tuned in, hadn't heard about it a couple weeks ago, and where's
putting this
Will's
on
here?
The stream? Yeah,
Will, our good
Will's
friend Will
in the
King,
house. Oh,
helped us with a bet.
Wash this down with this beer right here. Infamously hopped is what will.
Yes. Okay. Good.
Is what will help me wash this down.
Get a little brew here at Columbia Craft. But we had a bet between Elijah and me on the Broncos Saints game. If the Broncos had lost, I would be eating a plate full of very spicy crawdads. If Elijah lost and the Saints did, he had to eat a plate of Rocky Mountain oysters, which again
in a John Elway jersey, which as you see here isn't the most well fitting. It's a little tight. A little tight on me.
That's mine.
It's because it is yours.
It is mine.
Yes, it is yours. Now I'm going to try not to stretch it. I think that's the big
okay.
thing.
I'd rather you just make sure you don't get anything on it.
Yeah, because I did pour a lot of sauce.
You did.
Will graciously brought some sauce to pour on it.
Will brought some remoulade, so you get a little Cajun even if it's from the Rocky Mountains.
Exactly. So it's a little.
So here we go.
Kind of tough. All
and
right.
again, it's here we go. Rocky Mountain oysters.
There goes
and
nothing.
Again, if you don't know what they are,
right down the hatch.
You're good. You're good. You can do it. You can do it.
Well,
see, it's good. Okay, he's fine. He made it. He did it. Don't say it tastes
really,
like,
really chewy. What were you about to say?
I was gonna say, don't say it tastes like chicken.
It does not taste like chicken, no. But honestly, kind of like real oysters. It's not terrible.
So
I just like in my head, it's not as enjoyable because I know what it is.
Right.
It's not the worst thing in the world, but I'm not going to do this again.
Okay. Well, see, here's the thing. They're actually oysters. No, just kidding.
No,
they're
really
not.
not. Will's saying right now, no, that these are not.
Will said, "I'll take care of the whole thing." And you got these from supplier in New Mexico.
In New Mexico,
right?
Oh wow, so these are well traveled.
Yeah.
They got here, dry ice, all of that, so you're safe.
They're safe. I'm safe from any potential foodborne illness. But actually, I'm going in for round 2. So,
well, I mean, save me one. I may as well eat one while I'm here. I've had them before, but I didn't have them deep fried like this. I had them again in like a sauce, but like 30 years ago. My mom.
It is very chewy.
Yeah. So
very chewy. An interesting texture. And now all I have in my head is the imagery of what these are, that I'm eating them.
But you did well, man.
Honestly, it doesn't taste as bad as I thought.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
I will say.
That's what I said.
Well, I'm impressed.
For something like this that it's been around, I was telling Jordan earlier, for something that's been around for a long time, if they were bad, then they wouldn't still be a thing, right? So there's that.
Yeah,
but there was Langston was potentially concerned that you and I had conspired against Elijah.
No,
and I remind everybody, you are as big a Saints fan as he is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you didn't want the Saints to lose that game.
No.
And I did give him, Elijah, the opportunity to not take this bet, but he's like, no. I'm here.
Well, in fairness, he took on more risk than you did.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I also know your personality. We've known each other long enough that you may try one of these, but you weren't going to do something on that same scale. I don't think.
It's definitely going to make my breath taste or smell funny. That's my hypothesis. Yeah.
The only thing I was not going to do is do something where y'all had the crawdads so hot that I had to have to sign some kind of waiver.
Yeah.
That was the only thing. I wasn't going to. I like spicy food, but I'm not a waiver signer.
Well, our friend Michael Geddes of Integrated Media sent me a text and said, "There's no way I would make that bet to eat those. Get out of here."
Well, Elijah's done it, and I mean
he hasn't stopped.
Yeah,
they're kind of good.
They're like I said, man,
it's an acquired taste.
It's growing on me a little bit.
That's why I sent
term to use
for those of you who are following on Twitter. That's why I sent out this morning the scene from Funny Farm where Chevy Chase's character is eating lamb fries. I'm quoting.
Yeah.
And he sets the record in the local restaurant for lamb fries. And then after he sets the record, they tell him what they are. And
well, you've been a great sport. So
I figured if anything, I'd try something new.
Yes.
At the bare minimum, it's when you know what it is, it's all you can think about. All I can think about right now is the mental imagery. I can't even really of like what I'm eating, which makes it a little bizarre. But if you didn't tell me what these were and I started eating them, I would like it. But in the back of my head, it's like I am eating bull testicles. That is what's happening right now on air. I never thought I would say that sentence out loud.
Well, now you have.
Well, imagine how much fun I had driving down the road, and my son goes, "So what kind of food are we taking him?" Well, son,
that's a fun one to explain.
It's like steak, but different.
I mean, in a way, it is.
It's beef.
Well, you did call it swinging sirloin.
I didn't call exoticmeatmarket.com called it swinging sirloin. I will say that is one thing. I'll pull up the tab. The tab's still up. I'd actually never crossed out of it. Yeah, swinging sirloin, prairie oysters, cowboy caviar, calf fries. And of course, the last sentence here, we serve it at your next gathering. All your guests are guaranteed to have a ball. So I think I'm having a few.
Good stuff. Thank you, Will. Thank you, Jordan. Video evidence is all over the place.
Thank you, Denver Broncos, I guess.
Yeah, why not? Hey, it's something to try. There you go. The final hour of the postgame show coming at you from Columbia Craft. Hey, let me tell you about our good friends at the Joint Chiropractic Centers. Their goal, simple: improve the overall health of patients with affordable, convenient chiropractic care. And make sure that these things don't recur and you just maintain a good lifestyle. You get up in the morning, you got back pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, all those kind of things. Don't let it bother you. Just stop into the Joint. You never need an appointment. You don't have to worry about insurance. They're open Monday through Friday, 10 to 7, Saturdays, 10 to 4. You're in and out quick, not missing time at work, not missing your lunch hour. If you've never been, but you really want to know what's up, for just $29, you get that initial consultation, exam, and adjustment. And once you're in the system and in their monthly plan, you can go anywhere you want. And they'll always have you in the system. You could be on vacation. You could be traveling to watch the Gamecocks play or for any reason. And they've got centers all over the country. Here in Columbia, Harbison, Forest Drive, Roberts Branch off Killian, and Sunset Boulevard in Lexington. Check them out at thejoint.com. And remember, you don't have to feel bad to feel better at The Joint.
From the WIS Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell with a few accidents to get to. They're causing some delays on the roadways. Starting with one in Lexington County, we have an accident that's got the right lane completely blocked on I-26 eastbound after the Piney Grove Road exit 104. We also have the right lane completely blocked because of an accident on 20 West before Lee State Park Road on exit 123. Some more minor accidents have occurred, causing some more minor traffic backups on Highway 1 at Augusta Road near I-20, 26 westbound at Bush River Road near exit 108A, and lastly, Platte Springs Road at McLean Road and Kaiser Road.
It is 5 o'clock news time, but on Football Fridays, we'll spend most of our time during the news segment getting you caught up on what's happening tomorrow night as South Carolina hosts Texas A&M. But the breaking news of the hour is the proof of what kind of person Elijah Campbell really is as he is in the midst of finishing off the paying of the bet.
Look, it's free food. I might as well at this point. Am I right?
Yeah, well,
Am I right, ladies?
There you go. Hey. But if you've just tuned in,
That's interesting.
Elijah and I had a bet a couple of weeks ago on the Broncos-Saints game. And if I had lost, I would be eating, as we speak, a plate full of spicy crawdads. And if Elijah had lost, and he did.
And I did. Spoiler alert.
Yep. Then he would be eating a plate full of Rocky Mountain oysters. And this bet was brought to us by our good friend Will King, our former colleague here, who's now doing quite well in the real estate business, and he's also a great dad. And
grossing out Jeannie right
brought
now.
a couple of the kids here. No, listen. Will said, hey, here's a good idea for a bet. Will is also a big-time Saints fan, so he really wanted me to lose. But Elijah, I told Elijah, like, hey, you don't have to take this. We can come up with another wager. I got no problem like telling Will he's going to come up with something else. But Elijah said, nope. I'm here for it. And so he has just finished the dish of Rocky Mountain oysters. And
As we speak.
I think the verdict is
better than expected.
Yeah.
Don't know if I would do this anywhere other than deep fried.
Right.
Because it is an odd texture.
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time describing it. It's not as tough as I thought it'd be.
Right.
It's chewy, but not tough, if that makes sense.
It does. And I think that's why they have nicknamed them what they are, because, sometimes you get an oyster and it's it's chewy.
Yeah.
A little rubbery.
Not as slimy.
Right.
But my girlfriend Mira texted me. She said that she, screen recorded the entire thing.
All right,
so
good.
So she owns the footage.
Uh-huh.
But B asked, how it tastes. I tried to describe it. She's like an octopus, like a tentacle. I said, not as chew. The texture is kind of similar.
Yeah.
But not as tough.
That makes sense.
Like an easy chewing tentacle.
Yeah.
Tentacle. Yes.
I think I had octopus a couple of weeks ago, actually, when I was at a sushi restaurant. So I'm trying to think if I did last time. I've had it many times. But anyway, so, I mean, I told you, man. And I've had them before. They're mind over matter. You do know what it is that you're eating.
The breading's good. I will say the breading
Well, and I
is very well done.
Will. That was from the kitchen of Will King, man.
Props to Will.
Yeah.
Not everything can be cooked into something good.
Yeah,
this was passable.
Will
passable.
Will was killing it, man. So but he said he'd take care of everything. He ordered these for us from New Mexico. He prepared them. He delivered them.
We even know where they came from, which is nice.
Well, they came from some bull in New Mexico.
That is now a steer.
That is yes, former bull.
A former bull.
Yes.
Kind of like Michael Jordan in the early 2000s.
I see what you did there.
Former bull.
I see what you did there.
Washington Wizards.
And then it was kind of like Michael Jordan was a steer when he went to the Wizards.
Played like one. By his standards. I say that.
Now
that the guy still played better than you.
Now Jordan's going to be mad at us, and he'll use us as motivation next time he's doing something.
He's going to take it personally.
That's
right.
I
hope he does take it personally because he sent the Charlotte Hornets franchise into the tubes. He should take something personally.
That's fair.
That's career.
He's still got a share of the team.
I don't think he does anymore.
No, none at all. Okay.
Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not 1,000%.
I don't know if he's sure. Maybe held on to a little something just to keep getting the royalty.
For someone so good, he was a horrific owner.
It is unfortunate.
GM or decision maker.
Well, I'm I don't want to say. Listen, you don't need me to say I'm proud of you. That's not really what we're here for.
I'll take the affirmation then.
Well, that's good. You did a fine job. I knew you would. That's just like I said. I've had them before. They're a thing for a reason.
Yes, they're a delicacy. Described as a delicacy.
Yeah, they
according to exoticmeatmarket.com.
And
it's a real website.
Mind over matter. But I've never been one to. There's probably something I wouldn't eat. I'm sure there is.
Has to be.
But I've had that. And there you go. So good for you, man.
We did it. We see. Like the whole bet, like with Florida State. The guy I got on Florida State, who's being being a smart ass. And he's like, if Florida State loses loses to Boston College, I will eat, dog poo out of a red Solo cup. They lost. He never did it. He deleted his Twitter account like a coward. And now Florida State's 1-7.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to jinx. I'm not going to put that hex on the New Orleans Saints. I will not do it to this esteemed radio program and this radio station.
Well, it's a radio show.
This is this is what had to be done.
Yeah, no, you did
what I had to do.
You did well, man. So nice work, and you're gonna live to tell about it.
I can always say I did this on air. Like this is I got paid to do this. I made money today.
That's right, and you got a nice Columbia crab. What are you get the infamously hopped?
Infamously hopped, yes.
Yeah.
Famously hopped is my favorite. That might be my favorite beer on tap ever. This is really good. Maz described it as the evil twin of Famously Hopped.
All right.
Very good. West Coast IPA, which is
that's
right down my
always right up my alley,
down, yeah.
or down my alley, depending on how you want to go. But
whichever direction your GPS is
taking,
because I am directionally challenged.
So there you go. Speaking of Carolina A&M, which we will get back into, I assure you, we do have two pair of. I don't. Did somebody come get the second pair yet?
So we only have one pair. Yeah, one pair left.
One pair left. All right, somebody did come get the second. All right, so we have one pair of tickets left, and you do need to come to Columbia Craft to pick them up. Sold out game tomorrow night. Going to be a fantastic atmosphere. Needs to stay that way all night. That's for sure.
Yes.
And we'll be talking about that in just a second. But if you would like to go to the game tomorrow night and you don't have tickets, then come by and see us here at Columbia Craft. Find Jeff. He's walking around. If you find us first, we'll just hold you right here and then get you hooked up with Jeff. But come see us in person at Columbia Craft. Again, Green, Pulaski, UG. That's where we are. And we'll hook you up.
Yeah.
Good stuff. I'll start with what I said was the big picture opportunity here. This crowd, if I'm not mistaken, this is going to be make sure. Yeah, it is. This could be the only night conference game.
Yep. No, you're right.
And I believe it's the last night game period. That Williams Brice, right?
Missouri is a midday.
But it's going to start at like a 4 o'clock game, right?
That one will become a night game.
It'll become that's
fourth.
true. It'll be dark by halftime. That's fair. Because it'll be dark by halftime.
But the first one that kicks off whenever the sun's
down. But this is a true night game tomorrow night. But again, atmosphere wise, and I know I keep coming back to it, but I do so for a reason because I think it mattered. You gotta keep this crowd engaged all night. And if I'm Mike Elko, I see what happened, even if it was Carolina's primarily, at least Carolina's own doing to themselves to take the crowd out of the game against Mississippi. I'm doing all I can early to dial something up. Don't know what it looks like. Doesn't matter right now, but I'm doing all I can to take that crowd out of the game.
Yeah.
That has to be job one.
And if we talk about drawing something up to maybe get you a big play, but it also take the crowd out of the game. A 15-play, 80-yard drive to milk some clock off and make the opposing defense feel tired. And I think that's what A&M's going to do. I think it'd be incredibly foolish for Mike Elko and Colin Klein to walk into this game and say, we want to drop back and pass against the two best edge rushers in America. Foolish. I don't care how good your offensive line is. LSU tried that, and guess what they got LSU? Down 10 points.
Yeah.
Because as good as Will Campbell and Emory Jones are, they could not contain Kyle Kennard and Dylan Stewart off the edge.
Right.
They got theirs. Gilbert Edmond got his. I mean, they were getting pressure on Nussmeier, and to the point where LSU had to have a little bit of a change in game plan. They ran the ball a lot more in the third quarter. They sustained drives. They were able to sustain enough drives and get some stops on defense to the point where they had a 25-6 play discrepancy in quarter number 3, which ultimately changed the outcome. Got LSU back into the game. Got back into the game well enough for luck to happen.
Yeah.
With the aforementioned pick sixes that were called back. That luck happened and it benefited them because they were able to get back in the game because of that third quarter. I think A&M's going to – they have been watching that film, and they said, well, the last thing we want to do is let Connor Wegman or Marcel Reed or Jalen Henderson, who's a third-string quarterback, anybody, quite literally any quarterback on the roster, to have to drop back and pass the ball more than 10 or 15 times unless the game dictates it. Because the one thing South Carolina does better than anybody else is rush the passer. And what is the theme of today, Jay? You can't rush the passer if there is no passer.
If they're not passing.
So I would be astonished if the first drive of the game for A&M, they try to do anything but test the interior defensive line for South Carolina. And it's going to be up to guys like Tonka, Boogie, TJ, the nasties in the interior to have to be able to make sure that they're just not beating you up and down the field with draw plays and run plays.
Terry Ford is at Master Control. Mr. Ford, I'll ask you to pull up today's cut list, please, sir. We'll get folks a little bit of sound from Coach Shane Beamer. And kind of going on what you're saying there. I'll tell you what, let's go first to Shane, just really scouting Texas. Cut 2, Terry, please. Shane, about a minute-long clip here on what he sees from the Aggies coming in tomorrow night.
Keys for us every week is run the ball, stop the run, and they are doing that. They make no bones about it. They're a physical, downhill football team that wants to stop the run defensively. You look at it, every week when we're breaking down the team, you break it into different areas, red zone, third down, and usually when you look at when you look at red zone, it's 50-50 run pass, and I think in our cut up of a 5-game breakdown, they had 31 plays in the red zone, and 27 of them were runs or something. I mean, they make no bones about it. They're good at it.
They lead the conference.
Yeah,
in red zone
offense, their rushing offense, rushing attempts. So, yeah, they want to run the ball, and they want to stop the run, and they have the personnel to do it. It wasn't like when Coach Fisher was at Texas A&M that they didn't have highly ranked recruiting classes every year. I mean, they signed 8 5-stars a couple years ago, and they didn't just disappear out of College Station. They're still there, and they're playing at a really high level right now.
You've basically, I know you didn't do, but basically what, setting an over-under a pass attempts at 12.5? Is that about right?
Yeah, 12.5. I'm cool with that.
Yeah. If that happens, what is this game looking like with 5 minutes to go? That's the question.
If it's over that 12, that 12.5.
No. Especially if it's under.
If it's under, then I can see A&M being up 10 to 14 points and just choking the game out. That's what Mike Elko wants. I mean, he's a coach. When he came in here to take over the A&M job at College Station, he wanted to just transform how the program carried their business, and part of that was being a team based in physicality. He wants to beat you up and down the football field at the line of scrimmage, right? He is a football guy, right? A quintessential football guy. And Louis Bellina was talking about it yesterday with us too, that the team has really taken on that identity.
Yeah.
And that's become a strength. Whereas in the past years of the Jimbo, it hasn't been a strength. And I think that's really one of the ways that you can maximize the talent potential that you have on your lineup is just by being more physical and really taking a different approach than what they have in the past.
We'll have more sound from Shane. And don't forget, coming up in about 15 minutes or so, a chance to win one of our craft beer passports as we play the Wild Card Showdown. That'll be coming up for you in the 5:30 segment. A quick timeout. So much more to do as we get some sound from Shane. Again, come down. Jeff has the last pair of tickets available for you. You got to come see us in person here at Columbia Craft. You are listening to Football Friday postgame show. About our friends at Palmetto Propane. If you're looking for a reliable propane provider, you need to choose Palmetto Propane. Why? Because they have more than 65 years of experience. They are known for their exceptional service across the board, whether it's delivering propane to your home, to your business, to your farm, whether it is installing propane run appliances like the Renai tankless water heater, to first commercial fuel services, to new gas logs in your home or fire features out back, whatever it is that you might need, Palmetto Propane delivers. And the Palmetto Propane Hearth and Patio Home Store showrooms feature premium brands of the top of the line gas appliances. Visit a location near you. They've got them in Batesbury. They've got them in Aiken, West Columbia, Lexington, and across the river in Augusta, Georgia. They've been doing this since 1959. Great folks to work with, no matter what you need. Check them out online, palmettopropane.com. 19 minutes after 5 o'clock on this Friday afternoon. Welcome back into the postgame show. Jay Phillips, Elijah Campbell with you. Appreciate you being with us. The bet is now fully paid off. All the food is gone. Elijah has changed back out of the John Elway jersey and into his Carolina golf shirt / pullover or a polo shirt.
Polo, if you will.
Yeah.
I think the hardest part of the entire bet was just getting the John Elway jersey off.
Yeah? All right. Well, again, it's more my size than yours.
Yeah. I'm a little bigger than you.
A little.
Physically.
Little. So there's that. But, again, well done, sir.
We did it. We survived it. And you know what? For those watching, I finished the meal.
He did.
I went ahead and finished everything.
Jeannie is here, our amazing promotions director, and I think Jeannie was surprised.
She looked mortified for a little bit.
Yeah, that you
when
were...
I kept going, and I ate the first one and kept eating, she did look a little mortified. I offered. I was like, "Hey, we want one." She's like, "No."
Listen, I will I will
said
tell
no.
one more time. I'm going to tell this story today because I think it's relevant to what Elijah just did, even though he had already known what he was going to be eating. But I told the story earlier. One of my uncles grew up down in Berkeley County. Now, this is somebody who, if he were alive today, would be close to 100 years old. So he was much older than me. Great uncle, whatever you want to say. But anyway, he was an attorney, and he still had his farm down there where he grew up. And he had some clients from Washington and from New York come down one time. And after we had all gone hunting one morning, and, everybody's back that afternoon, and you're kind of having some appetizers. And now I'm like, again, 10, 11, 12. I can't really remember for sure. But, appetizers and some drinks around the porch. And he's passing out this big platter of Santee Cooper freshwater oysters. And these guys from D.C. and New York they're shoveling them in, man. I mean, just deep fried. They're like, yeah, oysters, freshwater. All right, that sounds great. Shoveling them in. Second platter comes out, shoveling them in. And then my uncle tells them what they really were, which was chitlins. And if you don't know what chitlins are,
not oysters.
Chitlins are not oysters. And chitlins are not, I mean, they're technically pork in the sense that they come from a pig.
Yes.
But they are the innards, a particular innard of a pig. And they're cleaned and washed and chopped and deep fried are chitlins. And that's all I'll say about that. And all these guys are like, wait, what? And like, the mood changed. Like no one
vomited.
Yeah.
Like
nothing like that.
Response.
Nothing like that. But just like you fed us what? But like in a lot of places, they're part of what people eat.
Yeah.
And again, you go to pretty much any grocery store and they got them. They're there. It's not like
they exist.
Yeah, they're there.
You don't have to go to exotic.
No, you don't, man. You don't.
They're a little more readily available than that.
Sometimes they come by the bucket full. And again,
putting them in a bucket does.
Over in they got the chitlin strut or whatever it is over in Sally, right? Is it in Sally? I think so, over that way. And so, but they did not like. But the point is, until they knew what it was they were eating, they were perfectly fine with it because they thought it was just a freshwater oyster. And you can't get freshwater shellfish. You're not going to get them that big, but
right, yeah, they don't exist that big.
No, but anyway, so you did good, man.
Yeah,
way to go.
And the more I think about what it is I ate, maybe a little more unsettling. But
no, don't do that to yourself.
But I finished it. I finished
fine.
it. Now, I finished it.
Now you know what? Terry's back in the studio right now, and he's probably like got a new trash can.
Probably, yeah.
and he didn't even have one.
He's so disgusted by what I did today. I can imagine that he is feeling ill right now.
But thanks again
I wonder if he watched on the stream.
Thanks again to our very good friend Will King for helping us out with that. That was well done, man. That's good. That's good. I like it. Let's get back into some more sound from Shane Beamer ahead of tomorrow night's game. Cut number 5, please, Terry Ford, if your fingers aren't shaking too much after all that you've been through.
Your head's out of the trash can.
But this is Shane on what he's hoping for the Gamecock run game against A&M.
Yep, go Gamecocks. Happy Halloween to you, Hampton. Great to hear from you. Thanks for calling, as always. Yeah, that's a good question. I'm all ears if you have any answers on that one. No one has really been successful doing that against their defense. I mean, nobody has scored more than 24 points against their defense, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a struggle for everyone to run the ball. They're really, really good. You know, they were already good on the defensive line, and they added a transfer from Purdue who will be a first-round draft pick. And then, you know, they brought back their starting linebacker from last year and added the University of Florida starting linebacker. So they're really good up front on defense as well, and it'll be a challenge. But, excuse me, I feel good about where we are. Certainly we've got to be creative in what we do and know that there's going to be some, you know, ugly plays, if you will. Not every run is going to be a 6-yard run, but we've got to be able to just stay ahead of the chains and break tackles. That's going to be one of the keys for us this week is we've got to be able to break tackles and get positive yardage when we do run the football.
I know one of the big stats you have looked at a lot for South Carolina's run game this year is what they're doing in terms of not getting enough push beyond the line. A lot of first contact is happening behind the line of scrimmage.
A high run stuffed percentage.
Yeah, and that again, these are all things that are well known, but this seems to just play. There's a lot about tomorrow night that seems to play right into Mike Elko's hands.
It does. It's easier to look at a football game whenever you can look at the strengths and weaknesses of two teams and find that, you know, like there's one way to take out one part of the game. Now, if South Carolina plays good against the run, then that's a little different. Then you kind of have to resort to other things. But it doesn't help, too, that on the other side of the ball, when your offensive line's not getting a lot of push in the run game, they've not been great in pass protection, even if it's just one great pass rusher, like Nick Scorton, and you say, okay, well, maybe we can, you know, put Josh Simon on the end to help out blocking, right? The same way many teams do against South Carolina, put their tight end on the line to help chip block, you know, put a running back in, be in max protect for a lot of the pass plays. It's still not the same because there's more than just Nick Scorton, right?
Right.
Like a lot of these guys on the interior defensive line were part of that highly regarded recruiting class that ticked Nick Saban off to the point where say, oh, they're just buying players.
Yeah.
And that's what got Nick Saban's grapes so sour and what made Jimbo Fisher's grapes even sourer. It's a really talented defensive line, and there's so much to have to account for that. Yeah, you can put a tight end on the line to chip and, you know, help block, or you can keep the running back there to max protect. But that just doesn't play into South Carolina's hands either, because we talked about with Jordan about how Lenore Sellers has been at his best this year when he gets to roll out.
Yeah,
can't really do that in a max protect, you know, setting. Right. There's just the reason I picked A&M to win this game is just because you look at the strengths of both teams, the weaknesses of both teams. A&M just feels more equipped to be able to take away what South Carolina does best on both sides of the football. If it plays out that way. Right. Now, if South Carolina runs the opening kickoff back for a touchdown and makes A&M have to play from behind, we might have a different story here. But that's why I think getting a big start in this game is more imperative than it ever has been in any game this season.
Yeah, including how mirror what you did. We talked about it a bunch. If you can find a way to bottle that first half against LSU, you're a heck of a football team.
Then you make them have to drop back and pass, and then Kyle Kennard and Dylan Stewart can be unleashed, and that's when chaos can happen.
Right. That's what you're looking for. More from Shane coming up in a little bit, but right now we need two of you. It is time to play this week's edition of the Wild Card Showdown. We'll make some picks against the spread, find a way to beat Elijah and me and the other guy, whoever that might be, and we will hook you up with one of our craft beer passports. Good for here and many other places. And by the way, these are now available for just $59, including Columbia Craft. They're on the craft beer passport.
They are.
Yeah.
I'm about to,
and no photo needed for the pass. You don't have to go to the post office and get a thing.
It does expire.
Well, eventually.
Yeah,
yes. But you don't have to.
So kind of like a real passport.
Yeah, kind of. But this one gets beer, and like they don't let you do that when you go out of the country,
which is better than a regular passport.
Yeah, that's why I think it's a great one. So $59, you can get them sweet deals at 1075thegame.com. But again, two of you to play the Wild Card Showdown. 803-404-6100. We'll do it coming up.
From the WIS Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell. The few accidents to get to you that are causing some issues here on the roadways, starting with one that's got the right lane completely blocked on 20 westbound before Lee State Park Road at exit 123. We have another minor accident on Farrow Road at Highway 555 at Park Lane Road, and one on Highway 1 at Augusta Road near Pisgah Church Road. The good news is that the accident on 26 eastbound after Piney Grove Road near exit 104 has since been cleared.
.534 on this Friday afternoon. Welcome back into the post-game show, our Football Friday edition from Columbia Craft down in the Vista. Congratulations to Tom. He won our final pair of tickets, and I just had to disappoint Seth and a buddy of his. Sorry, y'all.
Sorry, Seth.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like to disappoint anybody. Well, sometimes I do, but
depends on what it is.
Yeah, like my wife is here right now, and I disappoint her on a regular basis.
As she nods in agreement.
Yes. So, it happens. But I don't ever
She's
really.
not mad, just disappointed.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
Which
it's like
worse.
I wasn't you yesterday.
Yeah, not mad, just disappointed.
Yeah, I was disappointed.
Now you know how my parents feel.
Sure.
Just kidding.
Sure.
But at one point in time, they were very concerned.
That's right. Yeah. Well, your parents can still be disappointed in you. Mine cannot.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean I don't disappoint.
Yes.
All right. In the meantime, we won't get to it yet. This is typically our drive around the SEC. We did it last hour because we did it on Fridays a little bit earlier, but we do have some very interesting Southeastern Conference news that we will give you in the final segment. So make sure you stay tuned for that because you will want to hear this. It's a thing.
Would you say it's an answer to prayer?
For some.
I'd agree.
For some.
I'd agree.
In the meantime, it's time to play the Wild Card Showdown. I'll get Terry Ford to cue the band. There it is. And we'll welcome Danny and Jason onto the program. Danny, happy Friday. Happy November even. How are you?
Hey, guys. Doing great. How about y'all?
Good. Doing well. Thank you. And Jason, same question. How you doing, man?
Doing good.
All right. Well, here we go, guys. 4 games against the spread and an individual wild card game for each of us. And we'll have a tiebreaker stat. If you guys beat us and the other, then we will hook you up with a 107.5 The Game craft beer passport. I have proof that it is right here on the microphone. There you go. See it? Hey, throw it on there to the screen.
Here.
Danny, you're going to bat lead off. We've got Ohio State at Penn State tomorrow. Huge game. Ohio State, a 3-point road favorite. What do you think, Danny?
Penn State.
Penn State at home plus the points. Jason.
I'll go Penn State as well.
Penn State at home plus the points for Jason as well. That takes me to Elijah Campbell.
There are very few things I trust less on this world than James Franklin against Ohio State. I could probably do a whole comedic bit right now, but I didn't prepare it ahead of time. So, give me Ohio State in those 3 points.
Ohio. Yeah, I like what Penn State's doing. I do. But until
they're better than last year.
I think they are.
It's a really good football team.
But Ohio State just can't lose again, so I'll take the Tony Barnhart method. Ohio State will win because they have to. I will take Ohio State minus the 3. Georgia, Florida, neutral site game, the cocktail party down in Jacksonville. Jason, it's Georgia minus 14.5 over the Gators. What do you got?
I'm going to go Georgia.
Georgia to cover the spread. Danny.
I'm going to go with Florida.
Florida. Yeah, Florida's playing better football.
They are.
I've been, when this one was a little bigger, this opened at 16.5. And I said, I like Georgia there, but, man, Florida's playing better, and that's a lot of points. But then the line dropped 2 points, and Florida lost 2 starters. I will take Georgia to cover the spread, Elijah Campbell.
Yeah, poor Danny, you're going to be on Florida Island.
I got some nice islands.
They do. They got a lot of nice beaches, a lot of good waters there. So it's not a terrible place to be. You could be in an island worse off.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I got to go Georgia. I think Kirby wants to send a message, and I hate that Eugene Wilson's out because I think if Eugene Wilson plays, that could be interesting. But Florida's just a little limited on weapons against that defense.
To the NFL we go next. I'll let Elijah Campbell start this one off. I rarely put teams that any of us pull for on here, but it's really one of the only two good games in the NFL this week, in my opinion. So my Broncos are on there. They're in Baltimore. Ravens -9, Elijah Campbell.
Ooh, you know what? Give me the Broncos to cover.
Broncos to cover.
NFL teams with spreads that high don't oftentimes cover them. So if you give me a pro team against a pro team, especially one with a good defense, I'll take the 9.5 point
It's
cushion.
hard for me. I try to be objective, and I think I'm going to be here. Baltimore had a bad loss last week. They're at home. Lamar's going to be angry, and Denver is allergic to scoring a lot of points. I am going to, believe it or not, go against my team. I will take Baltimore to cover the spread.
Called an emotional hedge.
Danny, Baltimore -9. What you got?
I'll take Baltimore also.
Baltimore to cover at home. And Jason.
Also going with Baltimore for the same reason.
Baltimore. All right.
I'm on Rocky Mountain.
Rocky Mountain Oyster Island.
Yeah.
There you go, man.
How can I pick against them, honestly, after having to eat what I just ate
That's
in
where
a
all
John
the-
Elway jersey?
Hey, listen,
so I feel like that's
Denver-
almost as festive as anything.
Denver Island is where all those Rocky Mountain oysters come from, man. You're doing good. Detroit -2.5 at Green Bay. Detroit -2.5 at Green Bay. Jason, I'll go to you.
Take Detroit.
Detroit Lions. I'll go next on this one. Give me Detroit's killing it right now. Green Bay's pretty good, but give me Detroit. They're playing better football. Give me Detroit on the road minus the points.
Ooh,
Elijah
man,
Campbell.
this is tough. My initial inkling is to pick the Lions, so I'm going to stick with my gut. Yeah, Detroit.
Detroit, and that leaves you, Danny.
Yep, Detroit, same thing.
All right, clean sweep on that final game. All right, guys,
Go
wild
Lions,
card
fellas.
time now. Danny, I will draw your game first. You have got, they got a good one, Danny. SMU hosting Pittsburgh.
Ooh.
It's SMU -8 over Pitt.
They're
Undefeated Pitt.
8-point favorites against Pitt?
8-point favorites are SMU. What do you think, Danny?
I'm going to go with SMU.
SMU to cover at home. Jason, you've got Tennessee 17.5-point favorites in Knoxville over Kentucky.
I'll go with Kentucky on that.
Kentucky to cover. That is a lot of points.
That's a whole lot.
That's a lot of points. Yeah, it is. Elijah Campbell, you have got the Oregon Ducks 14.5-point favorites at Michigan.
Oh, this feels like such a trap because Michigan's not winning this football game. Oregon's playing really well, but the game feels like it could be backdoor cover city. But you know what? I don't think there's a football team in this gorgeous country playing better than the Oregon Ducks. So quack, quack, baby.
Oregon minus the points.
Say yes to quack.
Yours truly has Indiana 8-point favorites at Michigan State. And the logic you just used is kind of the same logic I'm thinking about here. Michigan State's okay.
They have a good running quarterback,
Yeah,
which it always makes for a plucky underdog.
But, man, Indiana just keeps covering spreads and just keeps defying the odds no matter
they keep
what.
beating the hell out of people.
Yeah, so until, again, kind of like I am with Ohio State, until I see it done, give me Indiana to cover the spread.
What was that spread again?
8 in East Lansing. All right, finally, guys, tiebreaker statistic. Going back to the cocktail party, total offense for Florida quarterback DJ Lagway. Total offense for DJ Lagway. Let that one sink in for just a second. Time's up. Danny, you will go first. What do you think?
170.
170, says Danny. Jason.
I'm going to go 271.
271. All right, considerably higher. And that takes me to Elijah Campbell.
244.
244. Oh, man, that's kind of where I'm more in Jason's realm. I'm going to go between you two guys then. Give me 260. And we'll see what happens. All right, Danny, Jason, first off, thank you, boys, for listening. We appreciate you. Thank you for wanting to play along.
Salute.
And again, beat, one of you guys beat the other, beat us, and we will hook you up with a craft beer passport. I will tell you, Elijah is 25-19-1 against the spread. I am 23-21-1 against the spread. So we'll see what happens. But you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy all the football. We'll let you know on Monday. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it, guys.
I need
All right.
one
Good
thing.
stuff. Yes.
I just want to make sure that I beat you. Elijah and Jason, that's all right, but I just want to beat you, okay?
Okay.
It's personal. For him, it is personal.
All
It
right.
has become personal.
Whatever it takes, man. Whatever it
Thank you.
takes. All right, buddy. Appreciate it. Have a great weekend. All right. We do have this breaking SEC story that you're going to want to hear. We'll do it for you when the postgame show returns. All right, welcome back into the postgame show. 12 minutes in front of 6. Again, coming up tonight at 7, Elijah and Justin have the high school scoreboard show. And then tomorrow, our coverage of Carolina A&M will begin at 2:30 from the party lot at Sound and Images with Adam Vance and the monogrammed lampshade on the head.
Yes.
At least that's the rumor.
I've seen it.
All right, there you go. Everything else is
It's
monogram.
not a party until the monogram lampshade goes on Adam's
I
head.
mean, Terry Ford gave Adam a complex, and now everything's monogrammed. So blame Ford.
Or the power of marketing.
You think we can blame
Advertising.
Terry Ford for what Greg Sankey has done today? I don't know if he's
I mean, I don't know if blame, whoever did it is credited with it, not blamed for it. I
Yeah.
would say this is a potential good step
Yeah,
in the right
now,
direction
let's,
if you can pull it off.
Let's get serious on this one, and I will not blame Terry Ford. I'm going to kind of read verbatim here, but this is from Greg Sankey to SEC athletics directors and SEC head football coaches. The subject line, feigned injuries. And before he even begins his letter, it says, as plainly as it can be stated, stop any and all activity related to faking injuries to create timeouts. It's better for me to read this to you guys, so I'll do it as quickly as I can. The NCAA football playing rules assign to the National Coordinator for College Football Officiating the responsibility for determining if a feigned injury has occurred. The National Coordinator is responsible for evaluating video submitted for review to inform his decision on a feigned injury. The language used to explain the National Coordinator's decision has been vague and relies on the probability that an attempt was made to feign an injury. The commissioner continues, moving forward, I will consider a feigned injury to have been determined when the national coordinator states it is more likely than not that a feigned injury occurred, that a player attempted to feign an injury, or any other general statement from the national coordinator establishing the probability that a feigned injury has occurred. While the national coordinator frequently states that the action of a feigned injury can never be absolutely verified via video, and I cannot say with absolute certainty if the player was truly injured, a feigned injury will be found to have occurred unless the national coordinator accepts clear medical information establishing the player had to disrupt the game for an injury timeout and modifies the feigned injury finding in a timely manner. The commissioner goes on to say when defending certain hurry-up offenses, let me get back to this, you are to use the allocated timeouts if you need to stop play, or you may allow the play to continue with the personnel and defensive play call in place. When on offense, if the play clock is running out, you are to use a team timeout or accept delay of game penalty. Creating injury timeouts in these circumstances is not acceptable and is disrespectful to the game of college football. There is more in terms of penalties, and there's a lot more that he says, but let me get to this part of it too, then we'll talk about it. For a team's first feigned injury finding, the head coach will receive a public reprimand. A financial penalty of $50,000 will be assessed. For a team's second feigned injury finding, the head coach will receive a public reprimand. It'll be a $100,000 penalty. For a team's third and subsequent feigned injury finding, the head coach will receive a public reprimand. A team's third finding of a feigned injury will result in suspension of the head coach for the team's next contest. Any other involved staff member will receive a suspension if it is the staff member's third instance of being involved in a feigned injury. And the commissioner goes on to say that he has the ability to fine or reprimand or punish in some way others, including student athlete. Can't fine a student athlete, but they could be subject to reprimand, potentially even any kind of suspension. I'm glad for this.
About damn time.
I was going to say, I think it's long overdue. We've known it was happening. In some cases, Elijah, it's just so painfully obvious that it becomes comical.
Yeah.
And I get why people do it, but it seems really stilted toward one school more than any other, in this conference at least. And I think enough has been enough.
Oh yeah, and here's the thing too. What gets frustrating, Jay, isn't just that we can tell that somebody's feigning injuries, but when Ole Miss has done it a lot this year, and we'll call them out specifically, but other teams have done it too, where it'll be a player that's getting ready to line up on the defensive line, like is about to get in 3 technique and line up against an offensive lineman, look over at the sideline, and immediately act like he got shot by a sniper.
Yeah.
Right? That's BS, and that's an insult to everybody's intelligence. That can finally be eliminated. If you're going to fake an injury, at least convince me you're somewhat hurt,
Yeah, exactly.
right? Don't insult my intelligence. I was born at night, 8:02 p.m. on a certain night in March of 95. But you know what that's not, Jay? That's not last night.
No, it's not.
So I know damn well that if you are on the field and you're running around, you just made a play, and then you act like you just got shot, you're faking it, man.
Yeah.
And, like, that's obvious. If we can get to at least the point where we're respectable, if we're going to fake injuries, let's be respectable about it, right? Like, at least do it right after a tackle. Make a tackle, and then be like, oh, man, that's a big play right there. We got to slow down the rhythm. Oh, I got to stay down a little bit. Oh, I might have pulled something. Like, at least don't insult my intelligence.
Well, like
and that's
Shane,
that's the most egregious part of all of it.
like Shane said after the Ole Miss game, and you knew he wanted to say more. He's like, about 5 times in that answer, I hope those guys are all right. By the way, the statement from the commissioner ends with this sentence: play football and stop the feigned injury nonsense. So that the last word, and Greg Sankey does nothing in writing without thinking it through and having it vetted.
He's very deliberate.
The word nonsense being the last word, very telling.
How many drafts did he put BS at there at the end of it?
Probably a couple.
Spell it all out.
And
And
then-
someone said, Greg, we can't do that.
Yeah, Greg said that. Good stuff today. Thanks to Jordan K for stopping by. Always appreciate Langston. Great stuff from Terry Ford. Thanks to our good friend Will King for
Yes.
helping us out with the bet. Way to go, Elijah Campbell.
We did it.
You did great stuff. And thanks to Maz and the crew here at Columbia Craft. Y'all come enjoy a beer or two tonight or before tomorrow's game. For all of you, have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Monday.
From the WIS Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell. The few accidents that are causing some traffic backups here in the Midlands. We'll go ahead and start with one on I-20 westbound. That accident has the right lane completely blocked. It's going to be right before the Lee State Park Road exit 123. Some more mild traffic backups caused by accidents here in town. We'll start at Farrow Road at Highway 555 at Park Lane Road. Highway 1 at Augusta Road near Pisgah Church Road. Got 3 of them on 20, one on eastbound, on I-20 eastbound. That's at Broad River Road near exit 65. The other 2 on 20 west, one's before Broad River Road near exit 65 as well. The other one is a little closer to I-26 and exit 64.